special guest tonight. The man responsible for the paintings on the wall of the podcast, but more importantly, become an awesome friend of mine that just met. I don't know how many years ago. Our kids are 13 now.
Yeah, let's turn 14 tomorrow.
Well, yeah. Oh, Jesus, that's tomorrow.
Yeah.
Wow. Welcome into the show, my friend John Horn.
Hello.
So John, yes, that is your claim to fame. Is you're the guy that made all my awesome paintings on the wall here.
Yeah.
So full origin story. This was the logo of my original podcast, Average Joe's Above Average Beer podcast, that I did for 3 years from like 2017 to like 2021. I don't know, somewhere in the pandemic I gave up because it was too much. I couldn't go places. I couldn't see people. I couldn't sit down and have cool conversations with people. But my friend Mario Gonzalez drew this for me. He black penned it. I threw it in Photoshop at some point and put some color and stuff to it, and then years later, I wanted to do this podcast and get it going again and just ditch the specific to beer stuff and kind of just open it up to all kinds of cool people like yourself. And it turned into, hey, John, you paint stuff.
Well, the
in
funny
your
thing
basement.
is you said, can you do this? And I was like, yeah, I think I can do that.
I just sent it to him like, here, you can do this, right?
I think so. But the follow-up was the funny part. The follow-up with the host and the guest.
That was my
funny part.
That one felt like some sort of a strike of genius. I don't know. I was thinking I wanted something to say just like so stupid. Like, you're familiar with like Obvious Shirts. There's like a company in Chicago called Obvious Shirts, and they make funny like sports shirts that are just like really blatant stupid things.
Yeah.
Like Javi Baez is good, at like the height of his career. And I thought hosting guests would be funny, and then. I mean, maybe you should tell the story because, I don't know, maybe a year ago, maybe more, you sent me like videos and pictures, of like, hey, I paint all these things. I have all these canvases, and they were random different ones. And I was like, holy shit, I want some of those to put in my garage or in my I have a cold plunge in the garage, and I wanted something like cold, to decorate around it for some reason. And you were like, dude, I got hundreds of these things.
Yeah, I literally do. Okay, the story behind this is, I, about 3 years ago, started watching a good friend of mine who was hit by a car and had a traumatic brain injury when he was 12.
That's crazy. Like
and
12 years old. 12 years old.
Yeah, so and I've known him since we were 9. And then his mom passed from COVID. So what I've been doing as of late, like the last 3 years, is watching him.
I know you say watching. Like, what do you when you say?
You know what? We go out to
out.
lunch together. We hang out. He has some other issues, and so it's difficult at times. But we try to keep him active as possible. And a lot of that is active with his mind, like trying to keep his mind active. Painting helps him do that. So we do a lot of just goofy art that makes us laugh.
Dude, you sent me a picture. You were like, dude, we have a series.
Yeah.
I was like, a series
and
of what?
That's what these two characters, we were like, we started just doing, you have to remember, he was hit when he was 12. So a lot of his humor is still very from that age group. And luckily for him, his best friend still acts like a child.
Yeah.
Sorry if I back away
is
from
that
this.
You?
Yeah, I am horribly childish. But the fact of the matter is, this happened for a reason. I happen to like art. We just went into the basement one day trying to figure out something to do to take his mind off it. And next thing you know, we were painting, and I would draw a sketch out on a canvas and have him start painting out the general kind of form of it. And then I would go back over and touch it up, and we'd hang him all over his house, and he'd get a laugh out of it. And but we did this series. It's basically it's dick and ball jokes. So it's something childish that makes us laugh. It makes him laugh. But we did a whole series. We got all these different paintings, and these were the two character, Richard and the Sack.
Richard and the Sack.
Yes, exactly.
You can figure out which one's which.
Yeah. So
the cool part was like the comic book-esque jokes that went with them.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, some of them probably inappropriate, but, you know,
absolutely
but,
inappropriate.
you know,
Again,
that's the beauty of it.
you know, it makes him laugh. So, but that's how we started doing the art. And, you know, it's, we do something practically every day, if not every other day. So we do have a lot of different paintings. But yeah, it's fun. Keeps him active, keeps him going, keeps his mind kind of active.
I was utilizing you basically as like as a library of paintings. So I was like, well, it's seasonal. I'm gonna I'll call you in March. Let me get one with, you got something with a shamrock?
I literally almost brought over Halloween paintings tonight.
You've got religious ones. You've got cold. You've got warm. You've got water. You've got, you know, and then the Richard in the Sack series is like. Do you have a favorite one? Do you have like a favorite joke from them? Because some of them are.
I would literally.
There was one that you sent me, and I
them.
wish I could remember what the joke was on it, but I remember laughing.
I
so
should have
hard.
came prepared and had it, but you know, there's literally like a catalog of paintings that are just jokes. So to come up with one, and it's not like I come up with the jokes, you know, I look them up on the internet,
find some old one.
Yeah,
you know,
I look
dust
them up
off
on the internet,
yeah.
steal it, throw it on there with, you know, Richard in the Sack and Bill laughs, and we call it a day. But you know, we do a little bit of everything, and the reason that we do a lot of different paintings is because it's good for his memory. And I apologize if I get a little choked up some at times. But it helps his memory, you know. So like if we do something, we'll do a painting for the Super Bowl. We'll do stuff for Halloween. We do stuff at Thanksgiving, Christmas, you know, you saw snowmen and stuff like that.
Frosty writing his name with his P. Yeah. With his little corn penis.
Yeah, exactly.
Or his carrot dick. That was what it was, I think.
Yeah, we stole that from Dumb and Dumber.
Great.
But no, it's entertaining for him. It's entertaining for me, obviously, and it gives us something to do.
It's a very mature take on art, is what you're saying.
Oh yeah. It's not all wiener jokes, but
that's a shame. That's a shame. No, you guys, I see you had some really cool ones with like a cross and, you know, really, you know, religious tilted ones. Obviously, you guys were good young Catholic boys.
We're pro Jesus. We're pro Jesus. Go Jesus.
Pro Jesus in this house.
No, we do a lot of different stuff. I still try to bring them to church. You know, it's difficult at times. But yeah, we're definitely pro Jesus. So we do have some Catholic or Christian.
Got some roots.
Yeah, based paintings in there as well. It's always good to remind somebody to, you know, Jesus is watching over us, especially if you have short-term memory loss. So to put some of those paintings around and have them around his house is important.
Do you remember like as you were younger, is it something you always like had a passion for though, like as a kid, like just painting or drawing or art in general?
Yeah, for art. Yeah, I always liked to draw. In fact, Miss Stoiber at Joliet Catholic Academy, she was an art teacher there. Very influential to me, great lady. Shout out to Miss Stoiber.
Stoiber, she's still out there doing it?
I think so.
I bet she is.
So anyway, I got into art I think in high school, just drawing and being interested in that. And then I got a couple tattoos, so I kind of got into that type of art, and I draw stuff like that.
Edgy art.
Yeah, a little bit. And then I kind of got into painting for a while. I stopped drinking about 15 years ago, and that's when I needed like a hobby.
I know. I met you post all this. You know, like you know, we and just real quick backstory for John and I, when we met, we have daughters of the same age that went to St. Paul's together as they were kids here in the Joliet area, and now they're freaking gonna go to high school next year, which is just crazy, bananas. And they're still close as can be. They don't go to the same school anymore, but still close as can be. So John and I met. You know, I just met this. You can't tell because he's sitting down, but he's a very large human being when it comes to height. What are you, 6'7"? You're 6'7"?
I'm 6'6".
6'7".
Your
spine gave out a couple of discs or something.
It has.
So now
it has. I am shrinking.
Now you're down. But I just met this very large, intimidating. He didn't have the sweet hair that he does now when I first met him. But so I know when you're squinting, looking at this, you're like, is that Fabio? Is that Christian Bale? I'm not sure yet. But you know, that's how
rocking the COVID hair.
Yeah, Yeah, the COVID hair. Everybody had something, right? Everybody had something during the
beards,
during the pandemic.
mustaches. I just never got rid of the COVID hair.
Yeah, well, nothing wrong with that. I never got rid of the work at home, as you can see. My workstation is still right there.
Good for you.
Yes, sir. It's not so bad. It's not so bad. But yeah, I mean that's how you and I became friends. And at this point, I knew obviously dads were all hanging out, whether it's parties or dropping them off. It's very normal to be like, hey, you want a beer or something?
Right.
I don't even know if that ever happened with us. I just know at some point somebody was like, Mr. Horn doesn't drink, and I was like, huh?
Because Mr. Horn was a little booze hound when he was younger.
Tell me more about that. Like when?
Just nothing good.
Nothing good came of it.
Nothing good came of it.
Were you
Nothing
like a normal?
bad.
Were you like the normal like suburban Chicagoland kid? Like found some booze when I was young, or some friends on the block.
Like
were
13.
stealing dads. Old Milwaukee's best. And
Yeah,
stuff.
like the typical, like they say now, like, oh, kids should wait until they're 21 or older, to drink because the mind's still forming. And 100% agree with that. They talk about addiction and how basically if the younger that you start, the higher chance or percentage that you would be an addict. And I would have to say that's very true in my particular experience.
I mean, I was out there drinking Old English when I was like 12. Guys stealing it from like Glenwood Food Mart for us. We were bad kids. We were good kids. We were bad kids.
Yeah, I was thinking I was 13 when I had the first drink, but and always liked it. But I was the type of person that I didn't just have like one. As I got older, it was like
you had a volume issue, huh?
Oh, big
it was a
time.
volume issue.
Couldn't shut it off. Couldn't shut it off.
I'm more of a craftsman than myself, a little more connoisseur-y.
That's good. Good for you. Keep it that way.
I was lucky that way. My brain wasn't built that way.
No.
And neither was my body to
it's
be
like
able
Frank
to handle
the Tank. Once it hits the lips.
Yeah. Well, the problem with you is you got room, and you're a big guy. I assume you've probably been the biggest kid in your class most of your life.
Yeah.
So as you get older, it's like you got weight to put that away too. So now you can drink volume.
I could. Doesn't mean you should.
Doesn't mean you should.
And I shouldn't have, but I did. And I was probably more proud, that I gave it up. I don't even know when now. When was I? 36, I want to say. So my
36,
kids were all still pretty young.
So you had all three at this time, or was Ella not even born yet?
Born yet.
So Ella didn't even know.
Never seen me.
Nope, never even saw it.
Which is great.
It's wild.
Which is great.
My kids see me drink all the time.
Well, I think
almost every day.
Before my oldest was born, like the day before, a couple days before, I had like a bender on the golf course with the boys, and I look back and I'm like, really?
That's how I do it.
That's what I did.
That's how Dad was doing it.
Yeah, no problem. Unbelievable. But yeah, it wasn't good. I never got in any horrible situations like a DUI or never hurt anybody or nothing like that. But just not a good situation, and it's time to stop. It just wasn't getting any better.
Was it one of those things like where it just kind of hit a wall and you're like, okay, it's time? Or do you remember
a specific
do you remember,
event?
Yeah. Do you remember like the transition? Do you remember like
it was at a work event. I won't even say what, but it was at a work event, not good. And the next day it was just
what happened? What happened at said work event?
Nothing. Honestly, nothing abnormal for me. It was just way too much drinking, making it, loud, obnoxious, making an ass of yourself. Blackout, that was at the end. I was getting more blackout.
Trying to remember piece puzzles together the next day type
just
thing.
Embarrassed and not feeling good about yourself and blackout drunk. And it's like, oh, what did I do? Probably one of the worst feelings.
So was it a
Who did
process?
I let down this time? What did I screw up? What did I say? Oh my gosh. I hate it all.
Did it
I
feel
look back
like
now and people are like, oh, do you ever like miss drinking? And it's like, yeah, I do. But
Sure.
then I think to that and I go, oh, I don't miss that part at all. It's there's a lot of benefits to it. Giving it up.
Yeah, well, sure, it's a lot of fun, but yeah, you pay the piper a lot of the time too. So do you remember was it difficult for you? Was it like a process, or was it kind of just like, that's it, I'm done?
I quit
from that
cold
day
turkey.
forward type situation.
Yeah, that was the last day. But it was I had to join AA and went to, some meetings and had some help from gentlemen that were older than me that had been through this and steered me in the right direction.
What's that like for somebody who's never, so many of us drink and nobody ever thinks like, oh, I need help.
It's horrible because it's a weakness.
So what's that like, process look like? You call someone, you find a meeting, this is what, probably in the 2000s?
Well, luckily in this area.
Late 2000s, this is happening to you?
This was, I figure I was 36, so what, don't make me do the math.
Okay, I won't do that to you.
But no, I knew guys that had issues in the past and had dealt with those issues and went to AA. So I knew of people that I could contact, luckily. And I felt comfortable enough, and I was in a deep enough hole at the time where I was just wanted to admit, hey man, I need help. It was just one of those scenarios where it was like, I can't do this on my own. I've tried. And I had several times where I'd quit drinking for like a year and then be like, okay, well, I proved to myself I'm not an alcoholic. But then once I started drinking again, it was like 10 times worse.
See, that's crazy. Okay, so you actually you were recognizing this at multiple different points in your life.
Oh God, yeah.
And what was it? You remember what the biggest kicker was for you? Was it like the feeling the next day? Was it making you depressed, or was it like you just needed it? So you didn't want to need that as a weakness?
It's a little bit of everything. But like I said, alcoholism, it's progressive. So as I got older and as I started drinking in it more and more, the symptoms were getting worse and worse. It's like you're poisoning your medicine at the same time, And then when I started, like at the very end, you start to kind of get the shakes, and I hadn't had the shakes before. That was one of the reasons why I was I was good at drinking. I never got hangovers or. So it was like, oh, I don't have a problem because I never get sick.
Right, you don't feel, yeah.
Sorry.
You don't feel that. No, don't worry about it.
So I never really kind of thought about, that aspect of it. But when I started kind of getting the shakes and feeling like shit. And
something's wrong there.
Well, it was like one more thing. And it was like, I just had it, and I tried quitting before, like I said, and I was successful at quitting for short periods of time, but it was because there was light at the end of the tunnel. It was like almost doing prison time.
I'm gonna go right back to it.
I can't wait to have a drink.
The dad in Step Brothers when he's talking about being a dinosaur. He's like, I always thought I'd come back to it.
Yeah, exactly. But I just lost it. I lost it.
Well, it's interesting that you're saying you were able to kick it for a year or something. Just to prove that you could do it. That's an interesting mentality to take, right?
Well, I had several points
light
like
at the end of the tunnel, like you said.
Yeah, it was like. If I make it through 6 months, okay, then at the end of 6 months, I'm getting hammered.
Yeah, it's like fucking celebration coming right here.
And so it wasn't obviously good. And then you learn from that. You go, okay, I'm not an alcoholic because I didn't drink for a year. But then you embarrass yourself at a wedding, or something crazy always happens because you overdid it again, and. So it was a long process. So finally getting to the point where I asked somebody for help, that was and that makes it almost like official because it's not just you anymore. Yeah. You don't want to let this guy down now,
Well, it gives you some accountability, right?
Yeah. I mean, I had accountability because I didn't want to let my family down. It was like,
wow. Yeah, you had two young girls at the time, and then I don't know if Ella was thought of yet or down the road here still, but it's like
she was down the road, but I didn't want to let the two that I had down. They were little, and I thought to myself, geez, if I nip this in the bud now, they might not have to see me down the road when it gets even worse. And this could be one solid thing that I could do. I'm not the best person. I'm not the best father.
I'd contest that. I've seen a pretty good chunk of your life. Pretty good at it. So.
Yeah, I'm not the best, but I do. There are things that I am proud of, and that's one of the things that I am proud of that I did for my family.
Like you could stand up to yourself, make a change.
Yeah.
So, in going back to, I think we were about to start scratching, and I tend to interrupt people, but talking about the process of getting started, and like you said, once you make it official. So then, what does that look like? Like how long did you utilize like a program versus?
It was like 3 years, and I wasn't like the type of guy when you get into a program. Like there's guys that go to meetings like 3-4 a day.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
Was it anything like you see in television and movies, like where it's like donuts and coffee in the basement of a dank church and smoking cigarettes outside? Just
absolutely.
Cope
100%.
with addiction.
You know, one of the things is that there's always like a candy bowl usually in the center. And part of the thing is you have to think about this, and you crave sugar. You know, I was eating hot tamales and lemon heads right before I came.
Yeah.
And it's because you've put so much sugar into your system for all these years. And now you've taken that sugar away, and your body's like, hey, like, yo, Jack.
We're used to that.
Yeah, you give that
That's
back.
What we like. Yeah.
So you see a lot of alcoholics sucking on hard candies or chocolate or something, but better that than the sauce.
Well, I don't know nowadays. The sugar might be worse for you. Who knows?
Yeah.
make you make less of a fool of yourself, maybe. But
for sure.
What do you remember? Well, not do you remember? You probably remember. But what was your? Did you have like streaks of like I drink liquor, I like beer, I just volume beer. Like.
I liked it all, but I loved bourbon back in the day. Was a big
before it was cool.
Yeah, before it was cool.
It was like, I mean, it was always cool, but like now it's like it's on some weird level now.
Yeah, no, I was like standard Jim Beam bourbon.
Yeah,
you know, it was just like
I love me some Beam though.
Yeah, I didn't need anything special. You know, just Jim Beam and a splash of Coke. That's it.
Splash.
Maybe an ice cube. Maybe.
That was it. That was your go-to.
Well, that was back in the day, and then after a while you go, oh, that stuff makes me angry, or something happened, and you go, well, I can't have that. So then you just switch it.
Everybody's got that story.
Yeah,
I can't drink tequila because I can't drink that.
Exactly. I can't
get me on Long Island iced teas. I will fight you.
Yeah, don't get me on tequila for sure.
Yeah.
So then it was like Svenka. I don't know if you remember Svenka.
I think there's a bottle of Svenka in our cabinet right now, actually.
I used to love that
Big
stuff.
old handle.
Yeah. I used to have it, and it'd be clear. I'd make a cranberry vodka. It didn't look like there was any cranberry in there.
Very faint pink.
Yes. But, that's why I brought that up is basically I needed a hobby after I quit, and because your mind just races, and you get all different types of ideas and ambitions, and because you got extra time on your hands now.
Yeah.
You're not drinking, and now I spent 100% of my recreation time boozing. It's like, oh, I'm going to go over to so-and-so's and have a couple of drinks, or I'm going to go here and have a couple of drinks. And it's like, okay, well, I'm not going there to have a couple of drinks, so what am I doing now? So that's when I got into painting. I got into martial arts. I got into like all these different little hobbies to kind of keep me,
Do you guys have like anything in your family? Like, did you see addiction? Like, did you see alcoholism at all growing up or anything? Or was it just something that just kind of developed?
My mom and dad, no. I'm sure it's in our bloodline somewhere. But my mom and dad, no. They might still to this day like have a couple of cocktails.
Saints. Just saints.
Pretty much. They put up with me and my sister, and
Love
so they're total saints.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, nothing really. I mean, my uncles and my grandfather would have beers, like after doing a job, but normal stuff.
So you basically cut off potentially adding that to the gene pool.
It's still there.
Wow.
It's still there.
You're getting a hell of a head start on it, at least.
Yeah, I told Jessica, I said, I think you got it. Better watch it out.
You might be the one.
It'll bite you.
Oh, yeah. You give him some real advice. Dad's been through some shit.
For sure.
So coming back to the painting and stuff, it's like, yeah, you have so much like brain power, that you're not, utilizing one way, and you maybe were you always kind of like an up kind of kid, like were you just like always?
I definitely have attention deficit.
I mean,
like,
we all do now, right?
We all do, right?
But yeah, I see what you're saying.
I hated school.
Can't stay still. Yeah, hated
Didn't
school.
do well. I couldn't concentrate. I do not learn like other kids. At least that's what I experienced. I was always in the C group.
Yeah. You're like, I'm good enough. I'm doing okay.
Yeah, I'm doing all right.
I'm going to scrape by.
Yeah, I was barely scraping by, though. I never liked school. Like, I like to learn. If I'm interested in something, I'll learn it.
Go hard.
I'm like, dive into it if I'm interested in it. But if not, it's like,
forcing me to be taught something that has no interest is I don't know how kids did it. I don't know. I mean, I was lucky. Like maybe it was just the schools I was going to is just easier, or like I had natural ability to understand things early on and mostly through high school. College was a rude awakening for me when I was like, oh shit, this is a lot harder. I have to try a little bit harder. And that's when I realized that's when I realized I was kind of like, oh, you might not focus well like that. But like you said, it was really glaring. It was like, if it wasn't something that I had any sort of passion or like interest towards, it wasn't going to work.
Right.
It wasn't going to work for me.
Yeah, there was a lot of, like, I love social studies or geography. That I find interesting. I'll learn that.
War, history.
Oh, yeah, love it. That's just where kind of my mind goes. Or if they would have had, like, shop or metal classes back when I was younger, in high school and whatnot, I would have loved to have done that. Gotten to, like, mechanics or something where I'm doing something with my hands and figuring stuff out. I love that. But we didn't have those opportunities. It was all like pushed towards college. You remember it was like, oh, college prep. So you were supposed to go to college and then learn something there.
God, I was such an idiot at that time frame, like sophomore, junior year, high school. I was just like, all my friends were like preparing for college. And I'm like, huh? Nobody in my family had ever gone to college,
no.
To be honest with you. So it was just like, I didn't know.
I was planning on going to the Marines.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
See, my parents, they didn't really know any better. Like, they work, and that was what they did. Like, nobody but my Uncle Jeff had gone to college, my dad's brother, and I was just kind of like, everybody's like, oh, I'm going on these visits. I'm like, should I be doing this? So finally, I started like piggybacking on friends that were doing it, and eventually, I ended up going to Western, and it was just like I went with a friend to support her, and then I'm like, yeah, this place is nice. I'll go here. Like,
dig it.
I don't know.
Nice.
My dad's like, that's the cheap one? Yeah, that's the cheapest one. He's like, all right, go there.
Get
that's
it done.
Fine. That's fine. It worked out for, but it wasn't something that was like, almost like it wasn't on my radar.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, oh, I'm just going to graduate high school. Then whatever happens after that. I was never like an overly prepared person, but everything was pushing towards those tests and like, you got to get this much on your ACT. You got to get, hit all that stuff. But I don't know. It was never for me once I got past like a certain level. Like math really fucked me up. Like math,
horrible.
Loved math, and then all of a sudden math got real hard.
I told them when I got to college, I said, they said, what do you want to major in? I said, anything with no math or science.
Yep. I think I literally graduated that way.
I'm a speech communications major.
Yeah, I'm technically basically the same, but mine was broadcast communications.
There you go.
So it was basically the same track that you were on. I had to pass the minimum like math and the minimum science stuff, and I was like good to go.
I took a course, language called Lingala in college.
What the hell is Lingala?
It's an African language spoken in Zaire.
Dig it.
Yeah, in the Kinshasa Basin, river basin.
Dude, do you remember any of it?
Kenga and Banga Yayo.
Does that mean anything in particular? Bathroom or something?
I got to think about it now.
Yeah. Gotcha.
I just remember the like different ones. My wife probably knows. We should give Chris a call because she used to help me study.
Did she? Of course. See? God. Talk about saints. Talk about a saint. There's a saint for you. So well, I mean, we're talking about school and all that, and obviously, I stated earlier that you are a rather large man. So obviously, you grew up playing sports, I assume.
I played football. Yeah, in grade school, I played baseball, basketball. Wasn't very good at either of them.
Really?
My dad will tell you.
Nothing for you. Well, yeah, Jesus.
Yeah, I made the all-star team. He goes, yeah, but you were a backup. I was like, oh, wow.
Huh. That won't give me any issues later.
Yeah. I did the same stuff to my kids, though. Oh, I remember Jessica got like a participation trophy in soccer. And she goes, look at my trophy, Dad. And I go, you didn't earn that.
You were very blunt at that.
Yeah. But so I guess I completed the cycle of trauma in that particular area.
Nailed it.
Nailed it.
So when did you start like realizing like, oh, I'm actually pretty good at football? Like,
So I never played football until freshman year at Joliet Catholic. Never didn't
never
know
even thought
anything
about it?
No, never. I was like, oh, I'll play basketball, but
Mm.
I didn't even really like basketball, so I didn't know what I was doing. I was more of a chubby kid that just wanted to sit on the couch and eat ding dongs and ho hos and watch cartoons. But that'd be fine by me. But I ended up getting into. I went to Joliet Catholic. Ended up trying for the football team because every kid was doing it. And it was just like, that's what you do.
Like, I'll just try.
Hell, they had like
happens.
150 kids. I 3/4 of the class was out for football. And day one, they give you your pads. And day two, man, they moved me up to sophomores. And I'd never played it down before in my life.
Like, what the hell's happening?
Yeah, it was awful. I was like, what am I doing? I want to play with my friends. And I'm scared.
So freshman year, are you like 6'3" already? Like,
dude, I
freshman
was
year?
6'4", like 220 freshman year.
Okay.
I'd grown 4 inches. Like I was growing pretty good, I was like 6 foot in 8th grade. And then that summer I grew, and I remember I was tired and hungry constantly.
Just always.
Yeah. My mom, I remember one specific time I was so hungry and I was like, Mom, I'm hungry. And she goes, you've eaten everything in the house. She goes, there's a thing of Wonder Bread on top of the refrigerator. And I just laid down and started eating Wonder Bread. Yeah. I grew like 4 inches that summer and then, put on like 25 pounds and not even trying. I just kind of sprouted up.
Just Wonder Bread.
Just Wonder Bread, straight up Wonder Bread. But then I got into lifting with a friend of mine, Mike Jones. Shout out Jonesy.
Shout out Jonesy.
And he got me in with a local bodybuilder, Jimmy Columbus, over at Rozelle's gym, which was an awesome gym that was on Jefferson, like behind the Long John Silver's in a pole building.
I miss Long John Silver's.
Well, I miss Rozelle's.
I know exactly what you're talking about there. Yeah.
That was a real like gym, but a lot of meatheads, and I loved
Old
it.
School.
Yeah, we were actually, Bob Rozelle was the owner, and taught us powerlifting, and brought us to all these different competitions. So I got into powerlifting then, which helped with football, and I didn't know that I'd be good at it. I'm not like the right frame for powerlifting. I'm 6'6", and back then I was almost 6'6". So I'm tall, and really when you look at most powerlifters, they're short. They got short limbs. It's easier to move that amount of weight
together. Yeah.
So I did pretty well in American Drug-Free Powerlifting Association, the ADFPA.
American Drug-Free Powerlifting Association.
Yeah, throwing it out
Holy
there.
Shit.
Shout out.
Might be the first time I've heard this one.
Yeah, it was a national powerlifting champ.
No shit. You were?
Yeah.
At what age was this?
16.
Holy shit.
Yeah,
So
I think I might have won it twice. I don't remember if I won it at 17.
what does that look like? Like, how do you go from working out at this gym, and then like, where do you find like the tournaments or the showcases or whatever?
Bob, the owner, took care of it all.
So he just, how many?
He'd tell our parents, he'd be like, hey,
there's of you guys?
Yeah, like Eric Gray, my best friend, still to this day lifted with us. I got to think all the Pellegrini, Fergie lifted with us. The others, like a group of Bowdacks. There's probably like 8 or 9 guys, maybe.
So what's he doing? He's finding these things and booking you guys flights or buses or something?
Oh no, we drove everywhere. It was mostly like local Midwest shows. They had like the Viking. I can't remember what it was called, but it was in Chicago, some hole. But it was a gym up there, and then we went to Ohio, I think, one time for the national meet and a couple other different places. But they were mostly like in the Midwest. We drove everywhere. So
what kind of stuff were you guys doing? Like, is it competitions like body physique type stuff, or is it actual you're actually just so
deadlift,
poundage and
bench press? Yeah, your 3 lifts. So yeah, it's your 3 lifts of. You start off with. I got to remember this now. You start off with bench or squat. All the powerlifters are going to be like, ah.
I hope so.
But anyways,
I hope there's a bunch of powerlifters listening to this.
I think the dead is the last, but it's been a while since I've done powerlifting. But yeah, you have the 3 different events. You get three attempts on each lift. Obviously, hopefully, increasing your weight as you go.
Okay. And is it like 1 rep type thing, or is it okay?
Just 1 rep.
Just boom, max it out.
You warm up in the back, and then you come out. You give them your weight. Whatever it might be, 330 or whatever, and for your first lift, and then you start off with that, and bench shirts were a thing, squat suits were a thing, belts. knee wraps, all those were legal. So you
Okay.
could wear all that, like the gear that they would say.
Yeah.
Not gear where you'd stick yourself. The
Not,
gear
not,
that you
not
put
that
it on.
other kind of
Yeah,
gear.
not that gear.
The Jose Canseco gear.
Yeah, no, but like, you know, the bench shirts and stuff. So it'd give you an extra oomph. It's not like what they have today. I think they're better today. I mean, hell, I
I
use one of
bet.
those slingshots for crying out loud. That
Yeah.
thing's pretty cool. But shout out to Mark Bell.
Mark Bell. I'm here for all the shout outs, dude. I don't
Yeah.
care.
Oh, hey,
Give 'em
how
all.
about Louie's Barbershop?
Give
Hey,
'em
Louie.
Louis.
I haven't seen you in a long
I
time,
was going to
obviously.
say, who the hell's
Yeah.
who's seen you?
Yeah, well, I haven't seen him, so I got to
Man.
say hi. Hi, Louie.
Keeping it clean, at least. I mean,
Yeah, I'm trying. I mean, I trim it up every so often. Not
So-
really.
So these competitions, you said so they're invitational type thing, or like anybody can come and you won national titles.
Yeah, no, you
with
got to
this?
qualify. So like you'd have to go into a
Insane.
smaller show before you're invited to nationals, and then if you
Like
qualify,
dodgeball.
then you can go. Yeah,
It's like dodgeball.
yeah. So you hit your smaller show, and then you'd go back and you'd have like a couple weeks off. You start your next lifting program, like 8 months or whatever, and then you jump into another show.
Okay.
Not show.
Do you remember? Do
Competition.
you remember winning that? Like, do you remember what
Yeah.
type? Like, do you remember how much you did on one of them, or like shit? I had
Yeah.
a fucking squat of 600 pounds.
No, I never had anything quite that heavy. I was like 550. So like now you see the like 800 pounds for like a squat. You're like, oh my, It's
That's
somewhat
like pretty normal now.
yeah. And you're like, oh wow. For me back then, I was right on the cusp of like shouldn't make this as an excuse, but there was like creatine and all that stuff was starting to come
Yeah.
out. That was after I was powerlifting. And it makes a big difference. A lot of the different
Huge.
supplements that they have. But I was like 550 for squat, 550, 560 dead, and then bench probably like 330.
330, and then this is like 16 years old.
Yeah.
Just pumping, just jacked.
Yeah, at 16.
Were you
yeah.
built? Were you built like at 16? Were you like bit stocky or just like shredded type situation?
No,
Like,
I've never been shredded.
No?
Because I always like the
the
cookies.
0.5 body fat.
Yeah, I get back to the sugar. I think I was born to love
Hell
sugar.
Still
Maybe I
love
got
my
a little
sugar.
farmer in me. I can burn that sugar. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know about the powerlifting thing. It was great point in my life. I remember doing the 550. I remember actually I had a deadlift record at one point, I think at 16, and it lasted, I think, a year.
Oh,
And then it was absolutely
God damn it.
crushed.
Damn it.
Crushed by like
obliterated.
150 pounds. I was like, oh my gosh.
creatine?
I don't know, man, but there was a guy out of Ohio too that I remember. We were talking about maybe going up in a weight class. We were 242-pound weight class, and we were talking about going up to 275, I think was the next level, and then it's like super heavyweight, right?
Yeah.
So we were like, oh, maybe we can, because we were kind of just above 242. We'd hover at like 250 at that age, and then we'd cut back for competition.
Okay.
So we were like, oh, maybe we just keep eating and stuff our faces and, go up to the next. And then we saw this guy that we would compete against at the 275 level. Holy shit.
What? Just
No, he was just a beast, like putting up
Monster.
numbers that we could not even comprehend.
no way.
Yeah, no, it was like 800-pound squat, 700-pound, just shit that you're like, now I might have those numbers a little off because people are going to be like, oh, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But they were ridiculous over the numbers of what we were putting up.
But you knew
Yeah,
at that age.
we were
when
like,
you
okay,
saw
I
it,
guess
you're
we're
like,
doing 242
whoa,
for
okay,
sure.
We stay where we're at.
Yeah.
That's like a whole different world.
Yeah, it's just there's some really, everybody always thinks they're when you're the biggest and baddest and
Cock of
lifting.
the walk, right?
Yeah. And then all of a sudden you meet the stronger guy and you're like, oh shit.
That guy also exists.
Exactly. There's always somebody bigger
There's
and badder.
levels to this thing, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So you said that a lot of that kind of fed into football a little bit too. while you
Yeah,
were
well, that's
a
very
young man?
helpful. It transitions and into football very well when you're strong. Obviously, when you got a good squat, a good deadlift, good bench press, all those things
Got
transition
that ass
very
behind you.
exactly. If you can push large amounts of weight, you can push people.
anchor too.
And as a lineman, that's all you are, is basically like a sumo wrestler.
So that's what you they started you right there away.
I was a
freshman year. They put you over. Oh, they put you on the defensive end.
Yeah, I was a D end at first, which was cool because like I didn't know much about football, but I did know I liked Howie Long. I liked there's a couple different guys that
Lawrence
I liked
Taylor.
most. Lawrence Taylor, the Danimal for the 85 Bears. Yeah. He was another cat that I was like always admired. But yeah, there's just a lot of defensive ends that I was like, that's what I'd want to play. And you always want to get a sack and come up and be like,
oh yeah,
I got that.
Yep.
So I was happy to play D end from what I knew anything about football at the time. And then as I got older, they moved me to offensive line. And I was actually, if I'm honest, was way better at offensive line.
Way better offensive lineman?
Yes. And I liked being a defensive line better, but I was way better at the O-line. And when I got recruited for college, it was almost all for O-line. And I was like, I want to play defense. And they're like, yeah, shut up.
Tough luck, kid.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, I think I went to Illinois. Part of the reason why is because they told me I would play on defense.
They tickled you a little bit.
Yeah, they tickled the pickle just a bit.
Just a little bit.
No, they go, oh yeah, you can play defense. And for my redshirt year, I played defensive end against like Brad Hopkins, who was like an all-pro, and got the shit just knocked out of me for a year.
Never gonna get past this guy.
Yeah, well, it's funny. One time I actually did get past him. I finally got past him. It's because he let me pass him, and all of a sudden, here comes the guard, the pulling guard.
Guard on you.
I had a concussion from that for sure.
Lit up.
Oh, dude, I don't remember like a day and a half after that.
So when you were in high school still, and they transitioned you to O-line in high school, then, right? So
yeah.
So at that point, like
I played both ways in high school.
Classically, as far as I can remember, as a 40-year-old male in the Joliet area, JCA's pretty much always been a football powerhouse. There wasn't a lot of down years that I can remember as a kid or as an adult. So like, what was your class like? Was your class?
We were state champs, man.
So
we were 14-0
multiple times.
Yeah, but we didn't have anybody really on our team. Kidding.
What does that mean?
No, we had Mike Allstott on our team.
Oh yeah,
so we got
Mike was on your team, huh? Okay.
Yeah, so he was a junior when we were seniors. But no, we had just a stable of running backs. Like people talk about Mike Allstott, but we had Brian Holman, who was just a beast of a fullback. He's there's videos of him just carrying dudes on his back. James Irby was a great fullback. Jimmy Lynch was a great tailback, I should say. Irby was another tailback as well. But the key is we had good offensive line. It's always coming down to the line, man. I've been saying this for years. That's what I say about
Jim
the Bears.
Harbaugh.
Exactly.
Jim Harbaugh.
It always comes down to the offensive line. But we had a good O-line. We went 14-0. We had, just a great group of guys.
Were you interior, or were you guard, or were you playing
I was left
tackles?
Tackle.
You were playing,
left tackle.
So you were protecting the line side.
Yeah, I was
the guy.
tackle with the good feet.
Hell yeah.
Supposedly.
Hell yeah. Was the offense you guys were running at the time, was it an old school kind of like formation, power, just run?
I never ever got into like that type of stuff, like looking at the whole again.
You're like,
I am
my
squirrel, so just what do I need to know for me?
My business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need to go hit that guy when he says this. Okay. And that's all I learned. So like you're like, oh, what formation? I don't know any of it. Oh. No clue. People ask me questions
not
about
a lot of shotgun.
Yeah, I'm like, is it a pass play or a run play? Am I going forward or backward? That's what I need to know.
Damn, that's wild. That's wild.
I didn't concentrate on anything but what I was doing.
That's incredible.
And that's actually part of the reason why I was good at what I did.
Yeah, just
because I could just
compartmentalized and focused.
I could zone in on exactly what I needed to do.
Do you remember those days? Like, do you remember do you have any like recollections or like great memories from that run, like that season or other seasons in high school when you guys were winning championships? Did that like build anything for you mentally and confidence and the way you became an adult? Really?
No.
It did nothing for you. No impact that you can remember.
No. I was always like intimidated. I hated talking to like news reporters and stuff like that because I was an All-American too. So it was like I was getting like publicity and stuff. and I didn't like it. I don't like being under the spotlight. So as far as like that was, it was like kind of like a lot of pressure that I just kind of shrunk away from. I had back then it was landlines, man. I could just be like, hey, John's not here.
You were just doing your job. You were just head down, just doing my job. Did you care when you won? When you guys won? Like, was it?
It was expected.
Yeah.
Like and again, I was a big partier. I was a big partier, so it was like, you better win because we got to have a party after this.
We got a lake house we got to hit, whatever it is.
And it's not going to be fun if we lose. I'm not going to the party if we lose.
I'm still going to drink, but
it's going to be in sorrow.
It's going to be a bad drink.
Yeah. No, we didn't have to do, it was 14-0. It was just like expected. We just wanted to win. It was a group of guys that, I don't know, since freshman year, it was just like we needed to put it together. It was like a goal. When we watched, I think it was the class of 88, won a state championship, or the 80. And so they were seniors when we were coming in as freshmen. And we went down to ISU and watched them. And I think a lot of that happens where you've got the younger generation of kids that go to a Joliet Catholic game and they watch them and they watch their success and they watch the athleticism of the kids and the coaches and how they react with the kids. And they want to be around that. And that's how they build big teams, good teams. From generation to generation. It might skip, a couple of years or so, but they continue to do good things with football.
We'll stick with shout outs here. Shout out to Jake Jaworski.
Yeah,
my CCD mate for basically first grade through eighth grade. He and I attended CCD together at St. Ray's.
Sweet.
Great guy. Always loved him.
I love Jaws.
So happy to see him and doing well, and he's got that thing kind of on the right track, it seems like, right? Yeah. I don't know. I don't follow it as much as a lot of people do, but I'm guessing they're pretty good this year. I know he had that thing on the up and up, but
saw a couple things moving in the right direction. I saw they had a loss early, but I think it was a Oswego, and I think they're also really good this year.
Yeah, I'd like to get him on the show one day. I might reach out to him.
He's
not during football season. Not during football season.
Spring maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No. So that something else I wanted to talk about. You kind of glazed over it a little bit about the spotlight and being recruited and being an All-American, and then eventually you already said that you went to Illinois. But what was that process like for you?
It was interesting because again, I drank a lot back then.
It all comes back to this.
It did. It was really bad for a couple of visits. I remember. I went to Michigan State for a visit, and I wouldn't go to Michigan State ever again. I'd never show my face in the area.
Huh? Bad weekend. Oh boy, said some shit, did some shit.
Oh gosh, I lost my shoes, my coat, blacked out. Coach came to pick me up for church the next morning because I'm supposed to be a good Catholic boy. Oh,
Lansing,
man.
Beautiful this time of year.
Yeah, it was not good. I had ordered a steak along the way, and then threw that back up in the sink. So left that for the hotel.
Enjoy that
embarrassment. But so that was the couple of the visits. It was like I remember I canceled a visit to Michigan. Les Miles was the coach there.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't really like his personality.
Okay. How did you know? Just from talking to him or from what you've seen in the media at the time? I don't know. No, Les wasn't really that big of a name. It wasn't like it is now.
Everybody people know him now. Yeah. No, he was just an offensive line coach back then. He was just kind of a prick, to be honest.
I don't want to play for this guy.
He came in. He pulled in the center of my driveway in a Fleetwood Cadillac. And he had rings, Rose Bowl rings in every finger. And he says, I'm sorry if your dad has to park in the street, but the guy at the rental place gave me the biggest Cadillac because he was a Michigan grad. And then he'd lean in and he'd go, if you want to go to a Rose Bowl, you got to go to Michigan. And he'd
creepy.
It was like everything he did, I was kind of rubbed me wrong on that visit. And I'm sure, he might be an okay guy here or there. But
who knows?
I don't know, but he rubbed me wrong on that visit, so I canceled my visit to Michigan.
Yeah, that seems like a weird world to live in.
And on top of that, I think it was after the weekend of the Michigan State incident, so I was like, probably didn't want to have two benders back to back.
In the same state?
It was in the same state. So in his defense, I probably had other things that I didn't want to go to.
There were some more factors going there.
But mostly it was because he was kind of creepy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a creepy thing that they do, right? I mean,
Dude, the thing is I love Michigan. Like, that was one of my major schools
you were a
growing up.
Wolverine loving.
Dude, I had
son
the
of a
Michigan
bitch, huh?
garbage can, you throw your jump shots into. And,
Hell yeah, dude.
I had some Wolverine gear. And
The Fab Five was going on at the time. You
no,
had
I was
Chris
a big
Webber
fan.
and Jalen, all them.
I was a big
yeah.
fan. And I didn't want to have him be my coach.
That's crazy.
It was like.
Then what? He goes on to win a national championship eventually at LSU, doesn't
Yeah,
he?
well, he
Yeah,
probably made some different choices than me.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. So Michigan State. What else? Who else came calling? Who else we going to visit or
Iowa? I went to Iowa.
Could have been a Hawkeye.
I really could have gone
Big
to
Ten
just
all
about
over, huh?
just about anywhere.
Penn State.
Well, again, I'm from Joliet, so it was Notre Dame and all Big Ten. That's where I went and visited. So I went to Iowa. Loved Iowa.
Iowa rules. My last guest was an Iowa graduate.
A lot of nice ladies in Iowa. Shout out to Iowa ladies. No, Iowa was it was a cool trip, but
Iowa City's great.
Yeah, I don't think I made a lot of friends with the guys there at the time, just because I was on a rampage.
You had to see if the shoe fit.
Yeah, I did. I had to see if the shoe fit, and it was it was a good one.
Yeah,
I don't regret that one at all. I don't regret it.
It was a fun one.
They just I guess they didn't.
They're like, he's a bit much.
Yeah,
that's this horn guy.
Yeah, it was kind of like Motley Crue coming to a country event, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
But overall, it was a good time. And I just didn't think I fit well with those particular guys at the time. So then I committed actually to Notre Dame. And
I was kind of thinking to myself when you said that, I was like, what the hell went wrong at Notre Dame that a good Catholic boy like yourself decided you didn't want to go there?
No, I went to Notre Dame, sat down with my parents in Lou Holtz's home office, committed verbally. And then I got a call from an assistant coach 2 weeks later, and they said that they were rescinding it. So they said because of my grades.
I didn't want to go there anyway.
Yeah. I was like, fine then.
Yeah. I don't care.
Stick it. No. I don't care.
I don't even care.
No, it's I was crushed because I really did want to go there, but you know what? Probably wouldn't have been a good fit for me. It probably wouldn't have lasted the year there. Yeah,
Touchdown Jesus would have had a few things to say to you.
Yeah, I probably would have spray painted on that, which I'm sorry, Father.
Yeah.
Sorry, no, I was an animal. So I think maybe everything happens for a reason. And I ended up meeting a guy on my trip to Illinois by the name of Mike Pulowski, Polecat. And shout out to Polecat.
Shout out to Polecats, the strip club in Bridgeview. Sponsored by.
Yeah, I've never been there. I don't know what you're talking about.
No idea.
But yeah, no. Mike Pulowski was a defensive end from Central, Joliet Central, and was down at U of I, and was just a chill dude, nice guy, made me feel at home, and I kind of fit in with a couple of the other dudes there at the time, and I ended up going to Illinois. The other thing was that my dad, Illinois was not even on my radar, to be honest. It was my dad's choice.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
My dad said, well, why don't you go to Illinois? He goes, they're great academically, and, if anything ever happens to football, you'll have something to fall back on, and I could probably afford in-state tuition if you lose your scholarship.
Champagne, man, come on.
Yeah, so he's like, there's a lot of different positives to Illinois. And I was always like,
Didn't really tickle you that.
I wasn't feeling it. I wasn't going to Illinois. I was doing this because I was going on a visit for him.
You're like, I have options.
Yeah, yeah. I got a letter from Harvard.
Yeah, people want me. They want me to push other people.
Yeah, what a joke. But yeah, so I ended up going to U of I because my dad, but then ended up loving the place because of the players. And then, that's part of it. It's like,
Who was the coach when you started?
It was John Makovic.
Okay.
And that was the other positive thing is John Makovic actually had the program going in a positive direction at the time. And a lot of the players that committed there, we had a really good incoming class. A lot of 5-star, 4-star recruits coming in when John Makovic was there. Bowl games, it was like getting stuff done.
Real shit.
Yeah, good players, making it to the pros the way that you wanted a program to run. And he told my parents when we went into his office, they're like, you're still going to be here like in 5, 6, 10 years, right? And he goes, I have no plans on leaving anytime soon.
Yeah.
The next year he's given a Longhorn symbol. He's like, I'm out of here. Sons are suckers.
What a classic college coach move.
Yeah. So he was out, and we ended up getting Lou Tepper. And great guy.
What, John?
No, he's not my cup of tea.
No?
Obviously, I'm not perfect. I've admitted that. But he was like different as a coach. He was like a defensive coordinator at first and a player's coach, and everybody loved him. And then he got the reins as the head coach once Makovic left, and he turned into a completely different person. It was like, and just odd stuff. Like he read that book, Remember the Titans. So then he'd like, oh, the black players got to sit with the white players, and the white players got to sit with the black players. And I'm like, can't we just have lunch?
He got inspired and tried to do too much.
Yeah.
Tried to do too much. Like, we don't have the problem because we're not integrating schools right now in 1950s. So
I didn't understand it. So I was like, I just can't have.
We all already like each other. You don't have to make us eat lunch at certain tables.
It was funny because like my roommate was Marvell Scott. He's a black guy. So
I was like, I live with him.
I was eating with him already. You know, it was like.
Like, now you're just making it weird.
Yeah, not that black guy, that black guy. It was like, okay.
Yeah, you're making it worse.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, don't worry about that. It's literally serves no function right here.
Thor's going to get hit.
I blame that on Thor anyway.
Yeah, that was a Thor issue.
Yeah. Come on, dude. Dogs, just
keep it up. We're
in
filming.
The mix. In the mix. So what was your time like there then? So Tepper takes over. I mean, did you... Do you remember joy? Do you remember like getting anything good out of football?
I didn't play very long. I played one game.
Oh wow! So what? You freshman year? Or
so
like,
no. Here's the deal. Red shirt freshman year, and then I wasn't playing before Brad Hopkins went. He was the offensive lineman in front of me at the time, and was like, I got no chance until he graduates, goes pro. And so once he actually graduated, then it was kind of like a battle between like me, Mike Suarez, and I can't remember who else at the time, but I think it was mostly between me and this dude, Mike Suarez, real cool cat, nice guy. And I ended up getting a start against Ohio State in '93. That was my only game I played in.
Holy shit! What happened?
So what happened was I ended up having my arm, my shoulder, I should say. I would dislocate my shoulder constantly in high school and also in college. I dislocate it, I'd pop it back in and keep going.
You're one of those psychos.
Well, It was like the John Wayne theory. It was like, hey, it's a little pain. I'll play through it. You know, it was like, I didn't know there was other repercussions to just popping your shoulder back in. You know, that... What's that movie, Lethal Weapon, with Mel Gibson?
Mel Gibson?
That movie's bullshit, dude.
Danny Glover?
That's bullshit. Mel Gibson's always pulling his shoulder out and popping it back in. That's not healthy, I found out. Nope. So what happens is you basically stretch out the stuff that connects your capsule to your shoulder, which connects all your ligaments, tendons, cartilage, all that is held on by your capsule. That's the way it was explained to me. And what I did was every time I would dislocate it, it would tear a little bit. And then I was going against, I'll never forget the guy's name. His name's Big Daddy Wilkerson.
Jesus.
Yeah. Sounds nasty, doesn't it?
Sounds like something from a movie about football.
Yeah. Big Daddy Wilkerson. So he was like all pro massive dude too. Played for the Bengals and I don't know who else, but he played for a bunch of different people. And then, but he was a defensive tackle, came out in a stunt and I went to hit him and he didn't move and my arm snapped. So I went down before halftime and then went into, it was like 2 minutes before half. I ended up finishing the game. I ended up going in, getting wrapped up, iced it, did some treatment.
It'll be fine.
Came back out. Literally, it was like, had my hand, like shoulder half on and finished the game. And so then I did well. You know,
I was gonna say, how many sacks did you give up?
I did give up one sack, but it was to Jason Simmons, and he ended up getting the record.
Right.
He ended up getting the Ohio State record against me on that. I was like, oh, it was a shitty play though, and I didn't like it because the tight end always got in my way, and you couldn't drop back fast enough.
Hard to that drop back.
Yeah. So, but anyway, so I did give up one sack. It's not my fault.
With half a shoulder.
With a half shoulder, and so anyways, I made it through the game, did well, and I'm like, well, shit, I think I got the starting position. You know, Ohio State at that point they were stacked.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at '93, you look at who they had on their team, and you're like, holy shit, it's all pro cast. And so anyway, I thought I did well. Thought I had the start next week, and I was in starting position for about 3 days, and then the coach goes, Horn, get out. And I go, what? He goes, you only got one arm. I've been playing it like telling the guy in front of me, I'm like, do not hit my left side. Whatever you do, do not hit my left side.
Practices have been fun.
Yeah, I'm going to kick you in the nuts if you hit my left side. So it was interesting. He takes me out, but then they put me in for a field goal against Iowa. And I went down for the field goal, and it fucking snapped completely.
Oh, Jesus.
So I had nothing.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, and it was like, I just knew it was over. It was like, you heard a snap, and it was like immense, just tremendous amounts of pain, and, crying in front of the Iowa crowd.
Jesus.
And so I'm down on a knee, and they scoop me off, and they're going to take me off and get all this shit done, and my parents come down and they're like, well, we got to just take him back, and tremendous amounts of pain. So went back, and they had Dr. Gertler, I think was the guy's name. Look at me. It was the Illinois guy.
The Gertler.
Yeah. They called him the butcher, I think. No.
I would have totally bought that too if you were just like, yeah, they called him the butcher.
They might have. I don't know. But anyway, he came in after looking at my MRI, and he goes, I don't even know what to do. He goes, now how much confidence does that bring you as a college athlete?
Pretty much zero.
When the guy comes in and goes, he's your surgeon or your general surgeon for the team, and he goes, I don't know what to do. Oh, okay. So
okay.
Yeah, what do we do now? He throws down a book. He goes, I'm reading this guy's book, and I'm like, all right, cool. What are we doing? He says, his name's Melvin Post, and he's up in Chicago, and we're going to go see him. All right. So he does a surgery. It was like 2 months later. So the whole time I was like, no, the arm's not attached. I'm just in a sling in pain.
For 2 months.
Well, I self-medicated. Wink, wink.
Wink, wink.
So I kind of took care of it with the Jim Beam that we were talking about earlier, and maybe some other things. But
Trusty JB.
Yeah, that always comes in handy. And so anyway, when I went in, it was like a 7.5 hour surgery for the stupid shoulder.
Shit.
They said it was originally supposed to be like 2, and they were like,
this thing's a mess.
Yeah.
This thing's a mess.
This guy was at the time, he's dead now, but at the time he was like a world-renowned shoulder surgeon.
Dr.
He was like
James Andrews with elbows, you know, like that kind of.
He's actually, they have the Dr. Melvin Post Award. So after he passed, the award for elbows and shoulders is his award. So
sure, Dr. James Andrews probably won that a couple times.
Yeah,
he's
maybe.
Fixed a lot of major leaguers' elbows over the years.
Possibly.
And in case you just wanted like a mental refresher, here's our Ohio State 1993.
Oh shit!
So there's your quarterback. You got
Joey Galloway.
NFLers: Raymond Harris, Eddie George.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a backfield. And you got Galloway, and here's your guy right here.
Dan Wilkerson.
There's the guy.
Jason Simmons. He got the sack on me, that prick.
Son of a
kidding,
bitch.
Jason.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
That's crazy. So they slice you up for 7 hours and
7 hours, and then I was in a gunslinger brace for I don't know how many months. That gunslinger brace kind of takes your arm out like this, comes down your side, goes down your side, and then around your waist. So you're kind of like stuck like this. And I had to, wear sweatshirts that were cut off, and you got to modify your whole wardrobe,
your whole world.
Not using your left hand to wipe your ass for sure.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
But no, it was just quite the experience being injured like that. And then I thought I was going to make a comeback. And then
so that injury was sophomore year, or
that was
junior?
my third year, so it would have been redshirt soft year, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, That was it. Basically, what I did is I trained, and then, well, didn't even have time to really rehab too much. I had enough time to rehab to like get back to the point where I could live a normal life, not where I'm going to block 300-pound linemen.
That wasn't in the cards.
Well, I went back and I talked to Doc Post about it, and I'm like, well, I go, this doesn't feel right. And he goes, if I were you, he goes, I'd call it quits. He goes, your right one's half torn already. He goes, your left one most likely will tear again if you go back in right now. He goes, so I would just be like done. And I was like, really? So that was it. That was it. That was like the end of the NFL dream, because I really had like
you thought
aspirations of, that was it. That's what I was going to do.
I mean, you definitely could have. I mean, at that position, if you take that starting job, I mean, playing left tackle for a Big Ten school and doing it well, it's and all because of some faulty shoulders that you've been ripping back over and over again.
Yeah, but that's a lot of football. It's like if you can make it through physically and not get the injuries.
Yeah.
That's what I'm amazed by. You look at the guys like Bruce Smith or Reggie White, those guys that are in positions where they're just beating themselves up every day.
Just head injury after head, just clanging, car wreck, and the legs injuries, and the knees and the shoulders. Just like it's unbelievable. I mean, obviously that head injury is like the hot thing that everybody talks about, concussion and all that. But it's like the amount of impact, like. What offensive lineman nowadays doesn't wear like those big braces on both knees?
Yeah, but I mean, even like to play for how many years did Bruce Smith play?
Yeah,
13 years or something ridiculous.
Least, yeah.
And to not blow out his shoulder,
a lot of weight to move around too.
I mean, I'm sure he's got problems now as he gets older, but
no doubt.
To play for that amount of years and not get a major injury, it was amazing to me, especially after experiencing what I experienced. It's like, damn, those are the guys that actually can make it to the NFL. They don't get injured.
It's crazy how durable some of them can be. And like the unnatural weight that they have on their body.
Right.
They're obviously big guys, but Jesus, he played from 85 to 2003. Man, that's a long career.
Sorry, I'm spitting out my chew.
Do your
Dropping
thing,
it
bro.
everywhere.
Do your thing, man. So, what kind of impact did that have on you when it was like, oh, it's over? Did it take you? Was there any part of you that
Negative.
was like, nah, fuck that. I'm just gonna power through. I'm gonna try it. You were just like, no, this is advice. I'm gonna take it. Doctor says not a good idea to do it again. I'm not gonna do it again.
Here's the deal. I was somewhat traumatized by that surgery. I mean, it was a major surgery. My shoulder still did not feel like I could do anything, to be honest. I mean, I could barely move my arm. And it was like 9 months after the surgery. Mm-hmm. We got season coming up, and I'm supposed to be blocking cats, and it's like, it's just not feasible. Like, I couldn't do it. Like, my arm would have been ripped off again. All I had in my head was, it's just going to, and the doctor told me, he's like, your right one's going to go too. Yeah. And it eventually did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was lifting one day at Gold's on Black Road and doing an incline, and the thing just snapped on me, and I was like, "Will help."
Yeah. Were you solo, or was somebody with you? So at least you could get.
No, I was solo. So I had some dude, some rando.
Some dude was by you.
Yeah, some rando came by, and he was like, "Oh," lifted up the one side, but
So you're gonna be like, yeah, there was like 310 or something on there. I don't know, nothing, no big deal.
Nah, wasn't quite that much. Didn't take that much to snap it.
No.
No, I was just doing some reps, I think, with like 225 or something, and it just went.
Just boom, done.
So it was.
Then surgical repair for that too.
Oh yeah, had surgery on that, and then I had my neck fused. I've got degenerative disc disease, supposedly.
Didn't go for the stem cell, huh? Didn't
just putting it on the schedule, man. I got to get that done.
Just get those little.
Got to hash it out.
Them umbilical cords up in there.
I don't know what it is, but I considered it because my back's so bad. But
you hear great. I hear good stories. I don't know.
Yeah, I do too.
Maybe I listen to Joe Rogan too much. I don't know. Maybe that's my fault. But
some of the stuff he says, I wouldn't touch that TRT stuff for the.
Oh yeah, that's a big thing. That's happening all over.
Shoving that shit in their system like crazy.
I love it to make himself feel real good, bringing the young back.
I guess.
I don't know.
I mean, I'd rather just beat the shit out of myself and make my own.
You've always, like, since I met you, you were always, gym, constantly. So keeping that the testosterone levels high, right? I mean, I feel like when I first met you, you were beefier, right? You
Yeah.
were a thicker, more jacked, bigger guy. Than you lost weight over the years.
Oh yeah. Part of it is again not drinking.
But you weren't drinking when I met you.
It takes a lot of time to pull off that weight, man.
Maybe, but it wasn't like you were big. You were just bulkier. I thought that you were just like you were going harder, lifting, and keeping more weight on. Then I feel like you started to slim out a little bit and still kind of just maybe more reps or something.
Part of it is I do change up like workout schedule. Wintertime, I always put on extra weight. I don't eat clean at all. So people are like, "Oh, you gotta eat clean." I don't eat clean. I eat like as dirty as you can eat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of dog shit? Give me some examples.
Oh
of
God, I'm just
John
ice
Horn's
cream,
eating.
cookies. Billy and I go out to lunch basically every day, and
What's our hot spots? Where are we hitting?
Southern Cafe down in Crest Hill. That's one of our major hot spots.
That's like is that Nap? That's on Nap there, like where used to be like that 12 Handles was right there.
Yeah. It's in there.
Yeah, it's
right.
Good breakfast there. They get good chicken and waffles there.
They do.
Good chicken and waffles.
The Sugar Daddy or the Sugar Baby,
What's that?
I think it's the sugar. They got two of them. It's like waffle. One of them's waffle with like honey glazed chicken on it and cheesy eggs and hash browns. None of it's good for you.
Yeah, of course it is. What are you talking about? It's
yeah.
protein.
Yeah, it's delicious though. But we go there and then crispy waffle. Is it the crispy waffle?
Yeah, there's crispy. There's tasty. I don't remember which one's which.
59. It's
crispy, one's on
right?
Weber. One's on. I think it's crispy over here.
I
think we're
Holy
crispy
Family.
boys over here.
That's
yeah,
where we
by
always
Holy
go.
Family.
So
big breakfast, breakfast
big
type
breakfast
shit.
Guys.
Okay.
What Bill likes basically, and the other thing is everything with him because of the short-term memory loss is repetition. So it's good to have the same like servers. It's good to have the same people that kind of wait on him every day that knows the situation too, and so that's kind of helpful. I
mean, did you ever in a million years think that you would be in like that would be like your day to day? I mean,
no. Everything happens for a reason, man. I've come to the conclusion that the good Lord wanted me to do this job. Really, there's just been like way too many signs pointing that this is what you just need to do to help out your buddy, and this is what you should be doing right now. They take care of me too, with income, obviously, but I would have never thought in a million years that this is what I would be doing, but I know that it is what I should be doing. You know what I mean? It's like, there's so many different signs after his mom had passed that just kind of point to, this is what you need to do to help him out.
So was mom kind of like the only one that could really like keep him,
she
happy and keep him
the major caregiver, I believe, for Bill before she went. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean that had to be like really a meant to be situation, right? Because it's like now they're in need of something, and then now you had this opportunity to be available for it, and it's like, whoa, like how's that all come together?
Yeah, and it like at the exact same time as well. So it was.
So it did it timed out, huh?
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
Like 100%. But yeah, so many other like different things. Like we got the same doctor and like all these different things that kind of make
familiarity
things
pieces. Yeah. And obviously, you grew up, you knew him.
Well, and I knew him before the accident and after the accident, which is key because he remembers stuff before the accident, almost more so than he does, obviously after. But I also got to learn about his traumatic brain injury and the limitations that he might have after the accident. And then, his family would like take me on vacation and stuff with them. And so I could like watch after him and, just be his friend and be with him and make sure
like
he was
in the younger years.
Like 13, 14, 15 years old. They take me to Florida with them and took me on a couple of different trips. And so along that time frame, I was learning stuff that I use now.
Crazy,
but I didn't know it then.
Right,
it was like,
no, I've seen this. Summer of
well, the funny thing is like his mom. Obviously his mom after the accident like learned a lot about traumatic brain injuries and brain damage, and she would repeat this stuff to me and tell me, he's doing this because of this, and this side's cramped up because of this, and all this different stuff that that kind of helped me deal with my day-to-day today. You know, it's just like certain stuff will pop that you'll remember what she said, and you'll be like, oh, that's weird.
Well, it's crazy too to think like you didn't have any like formal training of like, oh, this is, you know, people go to school for similar things, or
Yeah.
like taking care of people that have been through something like this, or, you know, but the perfect circumstance of you being a family trustworthy friend that has known him for how long, it's like doesn't get much better than that.
The other thing is too is, you know, Bill trusts me. I'm his friend. I'm not some nurse coming from the outside,
right.
you know, trying to deal with stuff that they might not understand anyway, or even care, because they don't know him. They haven't known him since he was, you know, freaking 7 years old playing at St. Joe's. You know, he moved to my neighborhood when I was 9, but I've known him since we were 7. You know, playing at St. Joe's, and he went to St. Paul's and then transferred to St. Ray's, and I was at St. Ray's at the time. So like we knew each other for the longest time before the accident. I shouldn't say the longest time because, you know, it wasn't really that long before the accident. But
all relative, right?
yeah, but it's like, you know, you do so much time, you do so much stuff in that time frame as kids that you build bonds. You know, you're playing wiffle ball and you're going to 7-Eleven and playing video games, and you're doing different stuff that just, you know, we did stuff as kids and bonded, and now it's like, you know, no man left behind.
Yeah, it's all kind of paying off almost a little bit at this point. To you know, give him a better life, give you a better life, give everybody kind of takes from it. And it's weird to like the way to word this, but his family, like the Manor family, like people in the area know them, you know, like they're kind of like well known. And I talk to people sometimes that know Billy or know Billy's story, you know, and they'll say, oh, you know, Billy, yeah, I hear stories about him being like a great athlete and things before.
He was amazing.
Does he remember some of that stuff?
Yeah, I'll tell you.
That's cool. That's cool.
I bring it up to you all the time. So he was a national champion swimming.
That's what it was, swimming. It's always swimming I hear about.
I can't remember. That might have been when he like first moved there. I think when he was 9 years old, he won the national championship in swimming with the Jets at the time. But I mean, amazing pitcher, amazing. He played quarterback. He could play basketball. He's just all around good athlete.
And how old did you say he was when the accident happened?
12.
12 years old.
He was playing baseball in the parking lot. It's like now. It was a church, like a Methodist church on Six Corners there. And there used to be a Consumers across the street.
Yeah.
And so at Six Corners, basically after school, we were playing baseball. I wasn't there. That day I went home. And again, I was eating ho-hos and watching cartoons.
You were.
And
doing your thing.
Yeah. And but I remember Mike Halbert ran all the way down. It seemed like I just got home, and he ran like from Six Corners all the way to Junie Court, which was like, I don't know, it's quite a bit. Mm-hmm. Out of breath, like pounding on my door. Billy just got hit, you know. So he was crossing to get a ball that had been hit over the street, and a bus driver like waved him in between the cars and said, "Oh, it's okay." And so he went through, and then the oncoming traffic came through and flipped him up in the air, and yeah, brutal.
It's odd.
So
we had a friend of ours that happened to too in the Cathedral area that got flipped over, and he ended up 40 stitches in the back of the head, two broken legs, a broken arm. Tim Rowe, I don't know if you might know him. He owns Timco Construction now.
Oh.
You see the signs everywhere. The brown, you know, he's got a big Rottweiler on the side of all the trucks and stuff. Does roofing in the area, but it happened to Tim coming home from a St. Ray's basketball game on a skateboard. Guy was cracked out in a Ford Fiesta. Flipped him. He was on his board. Flipped him up in the air over the trees on Reed Street, going towards Jefferson, I believe.
He's lucky it was a Ford Fiesta.
Yeah, no shit. They said he was going like 55 miles an hour around that corner from Taylor to Reed, I think, and just lifted him.
No head trauma?
My parents, well, I mean, he had 40 stitches in the back of his head. I mean, he's an impulsive guy now. Maybe that's part of it, but he's a very successful business owner, and he's a really really
God bless him.
I mean, he donated a boatload of money to my kids' baseball team. We don't even talk anymore. You know, we're not
Good
like
dude.
friends. Like just reached out, said how much you need,
That's
whatever.
awesome.
Basically,
Well,
like
good for
anything
him.
for kids. He's like, I wouldn't give it to you, but for kids, I'll do anything.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, good dude.
yeah, it's it's cool. But he had, what a crazy experience. I mean, he was in a hospital bed in his house for months, right? And they were at kitty corner from the cathedral. Their house is that corner house right there, kitty corner from St. Ray's, and we spent summers there. Like just fucking entire 6 months there. We would wheel his ass down to fucking Joe's Hot Dogs.
No, there's a funny story too. It's like we lived on Joe's Hot Dogs, and Billy actually
bag of fries.
When he was choking because when he came up, he went up in the air and came down and knocked the food out of his stomach into his air passageway, and it was Joe's Hot Dogs.
Stop.
Yeah, the cop, John Manor will tell the story. He goes, when the cop cleared his throat, there's a Joe's Hot Dog in there.
God damn it. They should advertise that.
But, yeah, unfortunately, all his trauma was to the head.
Crazy.
It was like put into a coma, induced into a coma to try to get the inflammation off the brain. And, that's where the damage happened, is the inflammation just on the brain. So.
Do you remember, like, was it a car, just like a normal car?
Like again, I wasn't there. I was told it was a car, but I wasn't there.
Yeah.
I think another one of the things that I always think of is I wasn't there for a reason. There's normal every day. Like I would go and play baseball, and I would be there this particular day.
Same group every day.
Yeah, but this particular day, I was like, I'm going home, and don't know why. But I'm glad that I did, because I think it would have been more traumatic for me to help him out after the fact, if that makes sense. Yeah. Because you almost want to disassociate yourself when you see something very traumatic like that. You almost want to step back and like just go away. And it was like I didn't want to do that to him. It was like I didn't. So I'm glad I wasn't there at the time of the accident, because I think it would enabled me to be more beneficial for him after the fact. I wasn't like traumatized by that event.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
No, it does. I think it totally does. I mean, it's funny how we try to use our brains to make sense of things like that. And that's a good way to look at it. Like, yeah, well, maybe it was a purpose behind that. Well, and that's your day to day now. I mean, that's kind of what you do 7 days a week, really. Aside from taking care of your own family, with it obviously, like we said, our kids in school together, but there was that point between, my shoulders don't work anymore. Not playing football anymore. Eventually, you finish up at Illinois, get your degree, and move into the real world.
Yeah, funny story. Yeah, I ended up quitting Illinois once my dream was over, and I ended up going home. I worked security. Worked as a security guard for I don't know how long. I lived at my parents' place probably about a year or so. And then I was like, I got to go back to school. And again, I don't think it was, I think it was more because of it was crushing my lifestyle.
Hard to have that swagger.
Yeah. Can't be bringing in the ladies and boozing it up all the time when you're living at home doing security. And, so I was like, man, I don't really want to do security for the rest of my life. And so I was like, let's go back to school. Well, when I went back to school, I didn't really have anybody to hang out with. And there was a younger brother of a guy that I hung out with in high school. And so I went over to like hang out and talk to him across the alley. And he had all girl roommates. And
wait, where were you going to school at?
U of I.
Oh, you went back to.
I went back to U of I.
Okay, when you said back to school, I didn't know if you meant you were going back to University of Illinois.
Yeah, no, I ended up going back to U of I. All my credits were there. My dad wanted me to graduate from there. I lost my scholarship because I quit. Mm-hmm. And they would have upheld my scholarship if I would have stayed and actually got good grades.
Yeah, even with no arms.
Yeah, I was like, I had no interest in doing school at the time. I just. Whatever.
Not doing it well either.
No, I just wanted to get by. So anyway, I ended up going to this apartment. It was an apartment, and he had all girl roommates, and one of the girls was actually my wife, Chris, who he went to high school with. So she's a Joliet girl, went to St. Paul's, went to JCA, was only a couple of years younger than me. And so obviously had a lot of things in common.
Okay.
Started talking.
But you didn't know each other.
Didn't know each other.
Didn't know each other.
I mean, I knew of her.
Okay.
You know.
Knew she existed.
Yeah. I mean, I knew her, but we weren't like close or anything. And so yeah, that's how I ended up meeting Chris, and then started dating, and
then the courting began.
Yes.
The romance, the courting.
So then, yeah, there's another reason why I went to U of I. So one of the most important reasons why I went to U of I.
Chase the lady down.
Yeah.
You're like, this one's gonna do big things. It's gonna make me change some things.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know it at the time, but it was all for the better.
So you get out of there. You scrape by on you get your what'd you say? Speech communications
degree.
Speech comm.
I speak good.
So yeah, I'd be speaking good. So what happened after you just went? What'd you do? Like I remember when I graduated, I didn't have a fucking plan.
I didn't.
Same thing with high school. I was like, I got done with high school. I forgot. I didn't realize I had to go to college.
I still don't have a plan.
Yeah, I'm with you there too.
I'm
sometimes.
painting wieners on paintings for crying out loud. That's not a plan.
And nobody's mad at you for it. We in this way. That's why we love them.
So, but as far as a plan goes, no, when I got out, I ended up working for a company called Weeks and Associates that basically sells investments and insurance to Navy personnel.
Oh, okay.
So you get the Navy personnel when they're going into Great Lakes Naval Station. You get everybody's issued a BEQ, which is like their housing unit. And you put on your suit and you go down there and you do your spiel and you turn over a book and you tell them how saving money is a good thing. And, you know, this product will do blah, blah, blah. And you sell like 5 or 10 a night, right? And then you get a commission off of that. So that's what I did for like, I don't know, maybe 3 years after.
This is my life now.
Well, it was nice. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
I like doing that.
Snapping necks and cashing checks.
Dude, it was like an all cash biz. I was living at my parents' house. Everybody that worked at that Weeks and Associates were all young guys because you could then talk to. Most of them were ex-military. Most of them were all ex-military. I think I was the only guy that wasn't military.
Yeah, what the hell happened to that dream? We glossed over that. You mentioned earlier I was going to go to the Marines.
Well, that was because, you know, I had options with football, and they were like, you got to go to play football. So I was like, well, if I'm going to play football, I'm not going to the Marines. But honestly, I had an uncle that my dad's the oldest of 7, so he's the oldest. My uncle Ray was the youngest, and when he went to when he got done with high school, he ended up going out to California, came back and was like, I joined the Marines.
Oh shit!
And he was a lifer, and I was like admired him.
Yeah,
you know, I was like, that's badass. You know, it's like serving his country and working and getting stuff done, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. So I was always thinking, that's what I want to do, because I really didn't know what I wanted to do. So I figured, well, at least they'll put me in a situation where I can do something. They'll tell me what to do.
Yeah.
You know,
you get some structure and some.
Yeah. And then, so that's kind of, you know, the only reason I didn't go into the Marines is because I had options. I had options because of football to go get a scholarship and get an education. Not that I took full advantage of it, but that's
kind of hard. Kind of hard to say no to it, though.
Yeah, no, it's college football has changed so much. I mean, it is crazy.
You're not kidding.
I mean, I wish they would actually like give you the scholarship to like use for your education when you're done playing football.
Yeah.
Because honestly, dude, it is so hard for a student athlete to like concentrate on academics while playing, traveling. You know, I've got 2 daughters right now in NCAA volleyball, and I see their travel schedule, or Colonel Chris is like, well, they're here now and they're here now. And it's like, they have to do all that, plus get their studies done, plus train, plus, you know, all the stuff that a normal student doesn't have to do. So I think it'd be cool if they would actually offer an education after the fact when you're done performing for the school itself.
Yeah. I mean, but then you see like so many of them do it, you know, so well. Like, you know, how did you do it? Well, how did you pull that off for 3-4 years? You know,
I scammed it.
Well, I'm not saying
that's how I did it.
You did it, but some of them, I mean,
I got by. I graduated the U of I with the best GPA ever. No, I got by the skin of my teeth. You know, I made things work. My dad always said if I were to actually spend more time actually studying than trying to figure out ways around the system, I'd be a
Yeah.
freaking genius.
Same amount of time went into gaming it as could have been studying
Yeah.
to actually do something.
I was
right with it.
I always like just trying to pull stuff off, or try to figure things out. What's the
See
easiest
what
way to get
happens here.
around it?
Let's see
Yeah,
what we can do. Yeah.
but anyway, yeah. What was the question?
What's up, bro?
What was that?
Yeah, I don't know. I just we were just talking about the scheduling and like
college.
how they pull it off.
We talk about now. You got the Big Ten. They got 20 teams on it. And you go from West Coast to East Coast.
That's crazy.
And then you're telling a student that he's got to come back and write a paper after he just got back from California.
Yeah, I mean, how do they? I don't know. I mean, there's always that. I don't know if it's as prevalent now, but it used to be that whole like, oh, the athletes don't work as hard, or they take bullshit classes, or that was always.
Well, then what's the point of the education?
Yeah, that was always the thing, right? It was like, oh, he doesn't have to try, he doesn't have to show up to class.
Well, here's the thing, though, too. They're also limited to what they can take. A lot of players will only be able to take. Yeah, they schedule it around football.
Yeah.
So like, I was thinking about maybe getting into art, like doing an art, and they're like, oh no, all those classes are in the afternoon. You can't do that.
We need you 2 days, bud. Sorry.
Yeah. So it was just like, that's not even an option.
Yeah.
They kind of laughed at it. Like, oh, you want to be an art major?
But how about film?
No.
Film's in the morning.
Yeah. Seriously. It was like, because you're there. Well, we were there. It was like from noon until 10 at night. I had study hall after mealtime. So it was like, you had to be there, and I had to be there like an extra 2 hours for study hall. Which basically they told you what went on in class, so that was good because I didn't make class.
Yeah. This is what happened.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, man, it's changed. Like that, they didn't. You think of it now, like they got liquor in stadiums. They serve beer.
Yeah,
I didn't have beer when I was in. Now, like gambling's all on your phone.
Bringing in billions.
It's just a business.
Billions.
Yeah, business. It's just basically it's the baby NFL.
It's so wild. I mean, the NIL stuff. It's they're gonna pay some of these guys. It's great.
Well, the funny thing is, you see like SMU, who had the death penalty in the 80s.
Yeah.
For all the shit that they do now.
Ponies. Yeah.
It's like they did what you guys just basically legalized 20 years, 30 years or whatever later.
Pete Rose just died. I mean, that guy.
Yeah. Can we get him in the Hall of Fame now?
I mean, yeah. Is that okay?
Crying out loud.
Yeah.
You
Is
guys,
his life ban over because he's dead?
Yeah. You've got 50,000 apps for gambling.
And now that's all they push. Just advertising.
Yeah. DraftKings.
Fucking Jamie Foxx is on my TV for hours a day talking about, bet this, bet that.
Yeah, but if you got a gambling problem, call this number.
Yeah, yeah, they do throw that at the, don't you? Yeah, it's the same here. Say Tito's handmade vodka. If you got a drinking problem, call this.
Exactly.
Call this number.
True.
Brought to you by Tito's vodka.
True that.
That's crazy. So we've been talking about the NCAA, and you kind of just hit it a little bit, but I mean, when did you know your daughters were going to be super athletes?
I don't know about super athletes.
I don't know. Pretty good record so far.
Well, yeah, I got two daughters in Division I volleyball, so that's
crazy.
a pretty good record so far. The third one, Ella, I think she might be the best.
Yeah, she may go
beast.
down in history. Huh?
She's a beast. She's just still young, so you don't know with injuries you got to watch out.
We'll see, right? But I mean, yeah, good start so far from the first two.
Yeah, I got one at Samford down in Birmingham, Alabama.
Yeah.
And then one at Gardner-Webb. So Chris actually just went down to Gardner-Webb, and that's when that Helena had struck.
Yeah.
So she was down there for that.
So
and it's right at the foothills. So
how close did they get to?
She's an hour from Asheville.
And so they were pretty lucky, or where she's at then?
Well, they lost power. They had to cancel games and everything, and they didn't have school for a couple of days. But they got the power back on within a couple of days. There, they were on the east side of the mountains. I think they took a little bit less there, but it was all flooded and around them. Chris said actually that the hotel that she stayed in had water on the first floor, and all the power went out. And then, the generator went on. The manager said that they had to close it down after they only had like enough diesel fuel for another 15 hours, and they couldn't get more diesel. So it was just a mess when she was down there. She ended up getting out. She saw both the girls because they were actually, the reason she went down was Sam was going to be playing at, and I always mispronounce this, Wofford. That's what it is. Wofford.
We got it. We got it. Two very educated, very smart men having a conversation, using our words. Good job, us.
So She was playing there, and actually the only building in the whole area that had power on that campus was where they were playing volleyball. So Chris and Jessica got to see Sam. Otherwise, they just would have turned and gone back to Birmingham.
That's wild.
So, yes, got to see her and helped out Jess in a trying time, and actually made it back without getting killed. So
that's Chris. I mean, that's how Chris does it.
Yeah,
right?
she's just rock and roll, man.
Just does it like that.
Get it done.
Well, I'm even like last year. I'm just talking about the athletic side of it in the girls, but like when she obviously Division I volleyball, pretty cool. Scholarship. Somebody wants you to play.
Yeah.
And then they get the bid in the fucking round of 64 teams for the tournament last year. Get to draw the number one seed Louisville.
That was 2 years ago. So it wasn't last year. It was the year before that. But yeah, they ended up going. It was Sam's freshman year. She's now a junior.
Yes.
Time just flies. But
and I found out I could watch it on ESPN Plus. Yeah. So I didn't realize they were pretty good broadcast too for some of her games throughout the year, and then being able to watch the tournament.
She's had a stress fracture that she's been trying to get healed up, and it's been nagging.
What is she? Is she a setter?
Yeah, she's a setter,
right?
Irish setter.
Irish. Yeah.
I'm just
great dogs. Great
dogs. No, she's a setter. Both of them are. Actually, all three of them are. But I think
just crazy. I always thought of setters in high school as like the little ones, and your kids are so tall, but they're probably not the tallest on their teams.
Yeah, they're not. They're not. I mean, and when you look at it, setters for like big Division I schools are over 6 foot.
Yeah.
So I mean, even like
some monsters out there.
Yeah. Man. So they just went to a tournament. My aunts went down and watched him at the University of Baylor. Samford went and played.
Waco, Texas.
Yeah. So went to Baylor, and LSU was there. Baylor was there, and I can't remember who else, but Samford was there, and they ended up playing him. And my aunt came back, and she's like, "Do you know how big those girls are?"
It's wild.
Yeah. No, they've got like 6 foot
Sam
6
and Jess,
girls.
I'm like, man, those kids are tall. And Ella's
they're
obviously
not.
very tall. And our family's just so small, so it's just
it's all
comparative,
relative,
right?
It's all relative because
when
you see the middles for an LSU or a Baylor, and they're 6'6" and 6'7", you're like, oh my gosh, yeah. And then Louisville, they played in the championship first round when they weren't going to make it out of that. I always said it looked like they were bringing a knife to a gunfight.
That was. Hey, but she's out there. She's at the show.
Yeah, no, she got
the dance.
So they won their conference. So if you win the conference, you get to go to the NCAA. So they ended up going and they had Louisville first round, not very good. They ended up getting smoked. But fact of the matter is, it's about the experience and playing at that level. Yeah. It's just very cool.
It's very
cool.
Tell me more about this university that Jess is at.
Gardner-Webb, small Christian university in North Carolina. It is in Boiling Springs, North Carolina, which is like
Boiling Springs.
It's really like the town is specifically for the college itself. The other major town, which is like 10, 12 minutes away, is Shelby, and it's like that'd be like the size of Manuka. Okay, like,
wow.
I don't know, 20,000 people or so, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So she's there. Beautiful area. Obviously they were just struck pretty hard with Helena, but in fact, when we were driving through, I saw that I made reference. I was like, "Oh, the Bat Cave." You see all this stuff on the news about Bat Cave.
Yeah.
So I, made a mental note. Obviously, Bat Cave is no longer there.
That's a bummer.
So yeah, say a prayer for the people out there, man. It's just, I guess it's just been nasty. So, but yeah, overall, I mean, the area is really cool. It's all like rolling hills, mountain, Appalachian hills.
Okay. Appalachia.
Yeah. But I don't know if it's the best fit for her, to be honest, but it's where she ended up.
Yeah, is she liking it so far, or is she kind of on the fence still?
Kind of on the fence still.
It's early.
It's early. I don't think they've seen her potential yet, to be honest. New coach. It's not the same coach that recruited her.
Oh, no.
So it's another one of those stories where she was recruited, loved the coach, and then some family tragedy happened, and he had to leave, unfortunately.
That sucks.
So, and nothing wrong with the guy that is there now, this particular coach, but if you're not recruited by somebody, you question you question as to what their level of dedication to you is.
It's always in the back of your head. I mean, even if it's nothing.
Exactly.
If they like you just fine, you're getting a fair shake. It's always going to be in your head.
Yeah.
Until you really feel like you're part of it. Did you have a role in like the way you pushed the girls at all? As they were younger, is it all kind of just
not at all?
Kind of did it like.
No, in
did you ever
fact,
say like, oh, you should do soccer or basketball or
I pushed towards volleyball. I pushed
play?
towards volleyball. I did push towards volleyball because I enjoyed the sport. Not that I enjoyed the sport. I thought that the sport had the most potential for the girls. And I also enjoyed watching the sport. You know, there's certain sports that I'm just like,
yeah, volleyball's pretty awesome.
So, and no offense that,
awesome.
Yeah, I like it. I enjoy it. I enjoy volleyball. I enjoy watching it. Chris really pushed. She played volleyball and really liked it when she was younger. And I think she quit it maybe her sophomore year, and I think she regretted it, to be honest. And so she always kind of pushed for club for volleyball, and so the girls started off at Uno, and then when we moved out to Plainfield, they ended up going to Sports Performance in Aurora. So really, Chris pushed for all this stuff.
Jeez, she's the worst.
Yeah, she's just such a pushy.
Just so pushy.
She really influenced the girls. Took them to practice, picks them up. I support where I can, but she does a lot with the girls.
So you didn't have any words of wisdom for her on competitive nature, athleticism, and anything, or you just kind of like I'm just enjoying my time here. Never.
I throw in my 2 cents.
Not trying to coach, not trying to.
No, I throw in my 2 cents usually. Like they're complaining about something, or I might be like throwing a different side to it. But no, I never coached. I don't know anything to coach. You know
what the libero is?
Yeah,
Libero guy.
Yeah. It's pronounced libero. No, I'm just...
That would have been awesome. Sure, you don't know shit.
No, yeah, no, I mean, I know the basics now because they've been in it for so long, but I'm not going to be the guy who's going to, you do have a lot of dads that are like coach.
To get up in there, huh?
Well, no, a lot of them haven't done shit and they're still coaching. You're like, whoa, geez. It's kind of active over on the sideline over there, buddy.
Why don't you go sit the next couple plays out?
Yeah, it's like you're breaking a sweat there.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, you get some of those parents that, and I was never that way. And this is nothing against my dad, but he really loves baseball. Really loves baseball. Mm-hmm. And I never liked baseball almost because of that.
Never caught on for you, huh?
Yeah, it was like
it's almost spiteful.
Yeah, it was almost like once I made the All-Star team, I remember it was like 8th grade. I was like showed him the jacket, and then I was like, I'm done.
I did it.
I proved myself.
Yes.
Like didn't really do.
You're a backup.
Yeah, that's what he tells you. You're a backup. You're just an alternate. So, anyways, but that was always kind of in the back of my head too. It was like I didn't want him to go into something, and obviously they were going into football, but I didn't want him to go into something where I was going to push them away from something that they liked.
Just ruin it for them.
Yeah, just be that guy where I'm like screaming on the sidelines and you got the wrong form or whatever it might be. I didn't want to do that. Not that I even had the power to, but dig. Just random stuff I'd throw out there every once in a while.
Yeah. All the stuff that I do at baseball games for Joseph. All the stuff I gotta stop doing.
Yeah, I don't do it. I go. Unfortunately, I don't even make a lot of games. It's tough with our situation. Chris makes a lot more of the stuff than I do. Certain things will set off Bill sometimes. So it's like, do I really want to bring him to this, or do I want to bring him to that, or is he having a good day or a bad day? So sometimes, I'll skip things, but we hit it.
The girls know. Dad's probably had a lot of volleyball games to deal with over the course of their 20, oldest is what, 20 now? 8, 19?
Yeah, 20.
20? Yeah. I mean, this is maybe an obvious or weird question, but like you got to feel some sort of a pride in what you two have been able to accomplish with 3 girls that are like good humans plus good athletes plus good students. I know you're not going to take any of the credit. No. I know.
You know as well as me. Chris is a wonderful person. She's a great mom, great
phenomenal.
wife. She's fantastic.
Just don't get her and Shannon near each other. Then it's, you got 30, 40 minutes. You got timing. You got schedules to me. There's going to be talking.
Yeah, for sure. But no, sorry, I got to take this thing off. I'm getting a little hot.
It waits 2 hours to take it off.
A little hot and bothered.
2 hours into the show.
Is it 2 hours?
Now it's warm.
Holy shit. Time flies, brother.
Yeah. Well, we're just bullshitting,
So no, I mean, as far as like, am I proud of them? Yes, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
Do I take credit for it? You know what I take credit for? I'm around.
I'm not a deadbeat.
I didn't leave them. No, I'm not a deadbeat. I raised my kids. No, but I am proud of that. I'm proud of raising my kids and doing the best that I can. I might not have done the ultimate fatherhood of the year type guy. I'm just not. I yell. My girls will tell you.
How dare you?
Yeah, they have coaches yell at him, and other girls will be like, "Aren't you upset about that?" And they're like, "That's nothing."
You should see when we don't vacuum at our house.
Exactly.
That is the funniest thing, though. Ella would come over here and be like, "Oh, cleaning day" or something. Like she's like, "Dad is pretty serious about cleanliness and organization within the house."
No, I'm not. I just flip out when stuff's like,
it's not the story I'm hearing.
No, it's like little things, will set you off, and then the kids remember that. It's like my kid gave me a card recently that said, "Don't touch the thermostat." And it made me laugh. But they'll be like, "Yeah, my dad will yell at you louder about touching the freaking thermostat than that coach just yelled at you." Yeah. So
we're used to it.
Exactly. But
you said you wanted to be a Marine.
I'm proud of them. I treated them, I yelled at them like football players ever since they were little, but, I'm proud of their accomplishments academically. Amazing. I mean, like I told you, I was not a good student. So to see my kids actually get like A's,
damn,
I'm like, wow, that's impressive.
Again, let me help you with your homework. Not.
That was never even like
Psych.
an option. Yeah. Like first grade, I'm like, I'm out.
Yeah. Oh, it's happening. It's happening every day here.
Like I said, unless it's geography or social studies or something like that, I can help you out with that stuff.
Yeah, you're to chat GPT. I can Google some things.
Yeah,
maybe.
Google.
I can hook you up there. Yeah, I mean, they're obviously, I don't want to overstate this, but you got 3 of the best girls possible. I mean, they're just so well behaved, just well mannered. I mean, obviously, I'm sure they have their own moments at home that you want to strangle or whatever. But
not too many.
But man, they are outstanding human beings. They are so kind to our family.
Thank you.
Obviously, they love our little JJ. Everybody loves little JJ.
Loves the little guy.
He's the house mascot. But yeah, I mean, it's got to give you a pretty cool sense of pride to see, like, all right. They're functional. They're functional human beings.
Yeah.
They're doing pretty
3 for
well.
3.
Yeah,
I mean,
3.
That's the big thing.
And again, we won't forget Chris did out everything. Chris,
well, she did.
Flowers for
I mean, you got to think of it from this aspect. I mean, I married very well for a reason.
So smart.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I did. I married well.
Now, if we sat Chris down right now, and we're like, Chris, what would you... Would if you knew you could give John a bottle of Jim Beam and have a night out with him on drinking and he would never drink again after that, would you do it?
No.
She'd be like, hell no.
No.
Even if like you two can go out and have the best party night of your lives, and then everything goes back to normal.
She'll tell you I'll get scary.
She'll be like, nope.
She doesn't feel safe.
So she's happy that's all locked up. So
you don't want to let that.
Chris
guy
doesn't really
box.
drink, does she?
She does. She has like
there?
a glass.
I
always say she does it wrong, but she does it right.
A little Chardonnay.
Yeah, she'll have a little Mayomi.
Okay.
A little glass of Pinot Noir.
Oh, such a classy lady.
Yeah, so she'll have that, but that's about it. She'll have like a glass.
Such a classy lady.
That's why I always say she's doing it wrong. Like, you're supposed to have 6 bottles at a time.
We're guzzle juice in here.
Yeah, each glass is only, that's a half a bottle. So,
it's something that we've talked about on and off here and there, just like in social conversations, and jokingly earlier this week with texting, and then you kind of alluded to it a little bit in like messing with the kids, as they were getting older in sports and stuff, and being like, oh, you didn't earn that participation trophy or
God,
something
yeah.
like the you've got thoughts on the change and the kind of shift of like I think I jokingly
go
called
there,
it the
huh?
pussification
Yeah, no
of
shit.
of the youth of the American youth. I mean,
No, it really. I mean, they're sensitive. They're sensitive. I mean, where you got all this garbage, woke, everybody's got feelings, blah blah blah, bullshit. And quite honestly, you're not doing kids any favors. You're not doing any kid any favors by doing all this stupid stuff. You should, even though I wasn't good academically, what you should be doing is teaching academics,
teaching academics,
and then
right.
also physical education.
Yeah, we lost that.
They used to actually have like national, like you had to do
requirements,
so many requirements.
Right.
You had to do so many push-ups. You had to do so many pull-ups. You had to be,
They
don't have any of that now. And gym teachers will tell you the kids can't do, 3/4 of kids can't do it anyway.
They don't want to either. And the other thing too, I mean,
it's not supposed to be a choice.
For me, I have a problem with the whole like nuance and gray area is where I live, and so many things in people are very like this is one or the other, and we're swinging these extremes. I feel like a lot. You're seeing so many. It's one way or the other. And it's so far apart.
Yeah,
like there's there's somewhere in the middle where it works. There's somewhere, like you said, like you can't just not have physical education. You can't not, you can't just allow people to just say no. We just don't want to do it.
Well, and is it really for our educational system to start talking about gender fluidity and all this other bullshit?
I mean, and again, it's fine. If I don't have to have an opinion on it. I don't have to tell you that you're wrong, but I just don't, why am I wrong if I don't,
well, here's
follow suit.
Oh, I'm sick and tired of following suit, and I'm sick and tired of people telling me wrong when I use common sense. It should be common sense, period.
I mean, kindness, I think, is what you need, right? I mean, it's just like, you just be kind, like treat people with respect.
Kindness is fair. That's fine. But stop throwing garbage down kids' throats.
Yeah, I don't know what it's like. I don't know what they're teaching them. Maybe I should ask more with my 8th grader is learning, or what. But I hear nightmare stories about some places, and maybe it's national news getting spun one way or the other. But it sounds like we've pretty much lost touch in the education system around the country.
I would say that. Well, in physical education, when you talk about the pussification, it's like if you don't work out, again, we're talking about testosterone, natural, God-given, made testosterone. Yeah. How do you do it?
On the male side,
you used to work.
You have to move.
You used to be a guy. You used to work. You used to lift heavy shit. You used to, do stuff.
Yep.
Or you lift weights, or you work out, or you do something. You know what I mean? You gotta.
And now the more you find out about the food system and the way you're eating,
you're
the
fighting
way you diet.
You're fighting upstream.
Mm-hmm.
You're going against Monsanto's garbage shit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then you got that whole situation. We'll see what happens.
I shouldn't say anything.
Gets his hands on that. Yeah.
I might get nailed. Taken out by Monsanto.
Oh my God! Well, the amount of, I don't even want to learn any more about it. It's gotten to that point where I'm like, I gotta stop.
Yeah, did you hear about the frogs?
I'll be the guy with
frogs, the Robert Kennedy.
I'll be tinfoiling before you know it. Here, like you're spraying it on our foods, but
it's true.
I know it's happening. It's happening, and it's like the more you find out about it, the more you're like, fuck.
Yeah.
We're not gonna do anything about it.
Well,
nobody's gonna do anything about it.
Here's the thing: you really need to have physical education for our kids. You need to improve our food, like Robert F. Kennedy was talking about. He's talking about what he wants to do in this on the Trump side. If Trump gets elected, he's talking about implementing better foods nationwide.
Right. And who knows if that can happen.
The
money they're spending on some of this other shit.
Talk about it first. That's the first guy that's talking about it.
Nobody's taking a shot here, and nobody probably will. We'll see. We'll see if anyone lets that happen. But did
you see the story that he did with the frogs?
No.
Okay, so they were given these chemicals that are in our foods, and they started giving them to these frogs, and the frogs actually changed genders.
Oh yeah, no, I did see this.
And I'm thinking to myself,
this is definitely on an episode of Rogan at some point that I was watching, where he's referring to that. Well, I mean, there's so many things.
That's a real study, though.
There's so much consumption, like so many things you can consume now, education wise, podcasts, things like that are like these people. Some of it off the bat sounds like crazy crackpot shit, but then you're like, oh my god, this was like Johns Hopkins, studies.
Yeah,
about this was Harvard studies.
Yeah,
like,
it wasn't bullshit.
It's not. I don't want to get too like far out into like conspiracy theories and wild shit like that, but in general, I'm just talking about you're talking about the food system, you're talking about physical education. I don't want to be mean to somebody because they're fat, but I also feel like we got to stop arming people with excuses. And now you got Ozempic and you got all this.
That stuff's garbage.
We're just going to keep paying. Paying because it's going to make them $3 billion a year to sell this medication instead of like, here's a fucking $10 gym membership to Planet Fitness.
Yeah, and some broccoli.
Right. That's probably Monsanto'd up.
Yeah, well,
so it's like
you can get it organic from some hippie.
Can't win for losing, right? But it's I just don't like. I don't know where the line is with my own kids. It's like I look at it one way. They're going to learn a different way, and they're going to be surrounded by it in school, and as they grow up, and nodding and smiling and being nice, and it's just like, at what point is it? Do you got to take control and be like, we can't do this. We can't force people to play the pretend games.
I'm not. Yeah.
Well, I know you're not.
I'm done with that. I never even started it. I'm not playing the game. So it's like, Jesus, God, guns. That's what I'm down with, First, Second Amendment, and God. That's the thing. It's like, let's just keep this simple. But you talk about the pussification of kids. It's not good, because when you look at the conflict, if you look at the global issues that are going on right now, chances are there's going to be some shit go down.
Yeah.
In the next,
what's everywhere?
20, 30 years at least, if not like in the next 5. I don't know.
It's coming.
Hopefully not.
It's coming. The more the more of this stuff that I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to even decipher anything anymore, because it's getting spun one way, and then
that's the other thing. It's like
each party says
nowadays.
If this one gets it, it's the end of democracy, and then if that one gets it, it's the end of democracy. I'm like,
well, the funny thing is like, okay, here's a simple fact. I'll tell you, I voted for Trump in the first election that he was in, right? Because he was going against Hillary Clinton. And I'm like, I don't care if it was a box of dog shit. I'm probably going to vote
That's for the problem, right? Everybody's got the old douche and turd dilemma from South Park. It's like, exactly. Here's a douche sandwich and a turd sandwich. And a
turd sandwich. Yep. Which one do you want? Mm-hmm. And so I was just like, well, I'm going to just vote for Trump just because I was going to vote for Clinton. And then he did what he did, which was everything that he said he was going to do before he went into office. And I was like, holy crap.
He did forget to drain the swamp, though. He did forget that.
Well, you know what? He tried. He fired a bunch of people.
But nobody's going to be able to. That's the thing. Nobody will ever be able to to fully
drain the swamp, because they keep trying to get him killed. I mean, for crying out loud, you get people fired. They write books about you, tell you that, say you're insane. They use the court system to weaponize the court system to during an election. It seemed like it was no problem in the years past, but now that it's election time, they're going to weaponize the court system. So it's just a double standard that
it's everywhere.
I'm like, whoa. And it used to be that the news wasn't propaganda. It was like news. They just covered it. He said this. She said that.
That's been gone for a long time, it feels like.
No,
it's been gone for
like 10 years, right?
Yeah.
Like 10 years, it seems like they're just like
social
totally
media,
biased.
Internet, the clicks, the money, the advertising money. It's crazy. One of the wildest things I heard just recently was not that recent, but like in this election cycle is like Dick Cheney supporting Kamala Harris, which is just the most.
You talk about the swamp, though.
Like we all went through 2002, 4, 2000, 9/11,
Trump's anti-war.
all that.
That's the big thing.
George Bush and Dick Cheney, and he was like this evil Halliburton, these crazy contracts overseas and during in war, and now the Democrats are excited to have Dick Cheney on their side. Like, it's just so confusing to me.
Why?
The vaccination stuff, the whole.
Why is he on her side?
It's wild to think about like this left. I mean, I grew up always thinking like I was Democrat, I was a liberal,
The party's changed.
I grew up like that, like I always identified that way, for my whole life, basically, the way we grew up in the area we grew up in, and my dad being a blue collar worker,
Democrat.
Whatever. And then now it's just like, what? Like nobody trusted pharmaceutical companies. Everybody, now all of a sudden this whole thing happened, from 2020 to now, and it's like I'm supposed to go the other way now and be like, yes, they're trying to help me, like just bananas. They paid Travis Kelce like $20 million to do a commercial where he gets a shot.
Yeah,
like that's crazy to me.
Again, it's propaganda.
It's just wild. Like,
so and again, what's that shot do? Because I've gotten the
don't
shot
know.
and then got
two
COVID.
of them. I've got two of them.
And
so
you got
I don't
COVID
know.
afterwards too,
I don't know.
didn't you?
I got a few times. But
But
I'm not, whatever. That's fine. If that's how they figure. Oh, it didn't work. I'm not trying to say you're crazy for getting them, crazy for not getting them. I'm kind of done with the whole thing. I'm just setting my bat down and walking away.
I had two as well, and then I went with Bill and got one, and I had one when I was still working at the school, and still got COVID. And then I asked the doc when I went the last time. He goes, "Do you want your shot?" I go, "Which one?" And he goes, "Just the flu shot." So he was basically like, "I'm not giving you the other one."
Yeah.
And then he went on and told me, he's like, I would give people the COVID shot, and they'd come back in a month later with full blown COVID. So I was like,
and this isn't like any way politically motivated when I'm saying this. I'm just looking at what's actually happening in front of me in my little bubble and my family and my life. I don't have time to fucking worry about what's happening globally all the time and what's, trying to keep up with all the crazy storylines and conspiracies. And my mind and thought is just, it doesn't seem to make sense right now. It kind of went away when it comes to like the pushing of it. The money train dried up, or they're trying to move it over to something else. Well,
the man-made virus. So
you had
to
you're
have.
not allowed to say. You're not allowed to say that.
Why not?
I know.
But it was a man-made virus made in Wuhan, China.
Yeah.
God,
so he says it is great.
Yeah, absolutely. So man-made virus, right? So we needed something to introduce that virus into our system. But now that we already have that introduced into our system, or we've had the virus, do we need to keep getting the shot?
Yeah. Kind of worried about all this talk, and I don't, again, both sides can skew things and give you stories and
I say if you want to get the shot,
that.
get the shot. But if not, don't. Yeah. I don't really care. But the fact of the matter is, I don't think
it
does that much.
These young guys that get myocarditis and die, like these super athlete, like soccer players with dying on the field, at age 28.
Makes you think.
Because it's like, yeah. And you have a real doctor explain to you on whatever, a podcast or in an article or in a study for a major university or, some reputable source telling you that, whatever the spike protein does, it can cause like issues with the chambers of the heart and all that. Like, kind of fucking crazy that happened, that all this just happened like that.
Well,
like,
and what
people were so scared.
What don't you know about?
Everybody was so scared. It was just like, boom. Yeah, we'll take it. Yeah, we'll take it. Come on, let's go. Push it through. Like, huh? Yeah, I don't know. Again, I probably shouldn't even be talking about this kind of shit right now.
Why?
I don't know. Because why? Because why? I just had a great conversation with you about how you nailed it with 3 awesome daughters. And
well, hey, part of the reason I nailed it with 3 awesome daughters is we involved God in their life. And one of the things that I see right now is no God in public schools. Not to bring that up, but that's one of the things that, like, I think is important in our lives is God, period. I think more people need to be associated with God, have more, whatever they want to do, go to church, read the Bible, But I think that's one of the major things in our household is we always kind of put God first. Like it was always like, well, did you pray? Did you ask God? Did you, which I think is one of the major reasons why our girls are great. Yeah. So they coincide. My political beliefs, my religious beliefs, and the way that I raise my kids kind of all go together. So.
Yeah, and if you gotten to the point where some, a lot of America even they don't everybody wants to say agnostic or whatever, they find a different belief system to replace that anyway, and it becomes what you might call a religion. It just maybe isn't the traditional one that we think of as like a Catholic, but people replace that and.
They replace God with something else.
Yeah, and
not good, Joe.
Well, and for us, it's like sure, it's like you don't have to read the Bible every day. You don't have to talk about Jesus all day long, but like it just gives you like a nice like structure and value, something to point to and look to in times of need.
And and you know what?
Instead of developing this wild I don't know. That there's a number of things that people have replaced it with nowadays that are
and go back and
kind
look
of
at
batshit
history.
Crazy.
People will tell you that believing in Jesus is batshit crazy, but
sure,
it's history. That's the other thing. It's like go back, you can find these artifacts that prove that he lived. Nobody's arguing that. Nobody's arguing the way that he lived his life. Nobody's so like all this stuff is absolutely 100% true. And people that try to argue it can't because they keep finding the facts that prove it. And so it's like you're denying somebody that is the creator. And then you're like, I got something else. I got something else that's better than you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
It's like, oh, okay.
Well, people attach.
See how that goes.
Yeah, people attach to what they, whatever's around them. People are also easily manipulated and
Yeah. No,
but,
I get that.
But yeah, it's like, sure, maybe not everything that you think is interpreted in the stories in the Bible or something actually happened word for word, or what you thought, what you thought, what they wrote in this version of the Bible. Maybe it wasn't word for word, but it's like there's an outline and a structure of truth to it and some form of like story that came to be.
I think there's a lot more truth to it than people realize, but they can't fathom it.
Could be.
Here's the thing.
Be part of it. Yeah.
You've got a God that is infinite in time. Nothing, he can do anything he wants, right? And so in like the early Bible, you read and people lived 900 years. There's people in the Bible that live that long. Can't remember which one it was. 800 years, 700 years. There's different people that lived supposedly that long. And you're like, there's no way. Your mind can't fathom that. But I think actually, these things did happen. They did live that long, and we just can't fathom them. And God, changes the rules kind of as we go along. Or we change the rules, and he's kind of, we used to live 900 years when we didn't have Monsanto.
yeah, that's it. That would be it, right?
It's the donuts.
Oh yeah, we're screwing it all up, aren't we?
Probably.
We're screwing it all up.
We have been for millions of years.
So what's next? What's next for John Horn? What's John Horn up to these days? Just keeping it moving, keeping it day to day with Billy, watching these kids grow up. Hopefully, get some college degrees, and
that's the big thing. I want to get Ella through high school. She's got one more year for grade school.
Right there.
Got 5 years, and then I don't know, man. Maybe me and Billy and Chris pack it up and move south.
There you go. You got thoughts? You got places?
Sam loves Alabama.
I hear great stuff down there. You hear about
Birmingham's got a nice little area where Samford is, and Homewood is the name of the city that Samford's in. Homewood's very nice, great little area. A lot of elevation changes, a lot of hills, mountains. So it's nice, real pretty, hot, humid.
Hot. Close to the ocean-ish.
No,
get down
not
there.
even close.
You can get down there though. You can get down there pretty
3
quick.
3 hours.
You get to the Gulf pretty quick. I mean, quicker than here.
Oh yeah, a lot quicker than here. Yeah, get to Nashville probably be a little easier.
Yeah. My uncle just moved out to Crossville, Tennessee. Still haven't gone out to visit.
Tennessee's
him yet.
hot. That's
Can't
the
wait.
other thing. You look at like
State taxes, baby.
people moving out of here, like out of Illinois and all the blue states,
Cheaper land.
going to
no
Tennessee,
state tax.
Florida, Texas.
Yep.
So
Get your money right.
I want to figure out one of those places, maybe the Carolinas or.
Yeah. We're not going anywhere. JJ's 3.
Well, you got some time.
That'll be a long time.
I'm a lot older than you, man.
A long time. Well, well, no. What's the gap on Ella and Jess? It's not too far. I was thinking JJ's 8 years from Joseph.
6?
Oh, so they're fairly close.
6 or 7,
Yeah, so we're kind of in that boat right now where you guys are at.
yeah.
Sam and Jesper moving up there, and you're like, oh,
What
we had the other
40?
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
40.
I'm 51, bro.
Damn.
Yeah, old cat.
Attaboy. Old cat. Seen some things, done some things.
Yeah.
Learned some things.
Done some things for sure.
Learn some things.
Yeah, but anyway, I don't know. You got anything else for me?
No, dude, it was just awesome that you came on and had a conversation like this. And just thought
Thanks
it would be a good time. I thought we could have a blast talking some shit, and I think we did.
Well, I think this is a good practice round. I gotta bring in some more art sometime, and then
Dude, the art's the best.
so.
My buddy Foz has got to come pick up his picture. It's still sitting in the garage.
Oh, you hadn't got it yet?
No, he didn't come pick it up yet. He was tailgating on Sunday.
Yeah, busy man.
He had one of his out of town Bear fan friends in town
they had
for
a
like
big
3
win.
days.
They had a big win.
Mhm.
So that's
Said he was
huge.
on like a 3-day bender, Friday to Sunday. So he actually recorded his show tonight, I think, live, his podcast. So
Dig it.
yes, he's looking for a little home for that little thing right behind him while he's playing or while he's doing his show.
Cool.
Well, dude, thank you for coming out.
Thanks for having
me.
me.
We'll do it again maybe one day, huh?
Sounds good.
All right, brother. Thanks, dude.
Later.